Chapter 1158. The main body wants to enter the trial tower. Teacher Mao lowered his head guiltily. Indeed, he had stopped Yun Chujio from entering the trial tower because he did not think highly of her. He felt that such a good-for-nothing was not qualified to enter the trial tower, so he deliberately made things difficult for her. Seeing Teacher Mao's cowardly manner, Xue Wuji could not help but get angry. Just as he was about to retort him, Di Baiming said, "Little Jiao may be temperamental, but she's not someone who doesn't know her limits. I'm afraid she didn't sneak in by herself." When Teacher Mao heard Di Baiming say the word Little Jiao, he was even more shocked than when Xue Wuji said Little Jiao's sister. He felt that he must have a fever today. Otherwise, how could everything he saw and heard be so abnormal? "Teacher Mao, tell your excellency and young Master Wuji about the situation at that time." Dean Huangfu pinched Teacher Mao fiercely. How could he still be in a daze at such a time? Although the Tianyuan Academy had a special status, if your excellency and young Master Wuji were to vent their anger on you, you, a mere teacher, would be doomed. Only then did Teacher Mao come back to his senses and recounted the situation at that time. Xue Wuji immediately widened his eyes and said, "You just saw my little sister Jiao's back and you're sure that she sneaked in? You just blamed my little sister Jiao for it? Maybe someone dragged my little sister Jiao in?" "Young Master Wuji, those students went in first. After they went in, they would be transported to the trial scene. How could they drag Yun Chujio in?" Xue Wuji glared at Teacher Mu. "No matter what, little sister Jiao won't sneak in. You must think of a way to clear things up. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Teacher Mu was on the verge of tears. "Young Master Wuji, what do you want me to say? Could it be that the trial tower sucked Yun Chujio in?" Hearing Teacher Mu's words, Di Baiming's heart skipped a beat. Little Jiao's constitution was special. Perhaps she really was brought in by the trial tower's Qiling. "Teacher Mao, give me a jade token. I want to enter the Tower of Trials," Di Baiming said to Teacher Mao. Teacher Mao looked at Dean Huangfu. Dean Huangfu sighed and said, "Your Excellency, you also know that after a person enters the Tower of Trials, they are transported to a scene alone. Even if you enter, you will not be able to find Yun Chujio. If you pass the 9th level, you will find the weapon spirit of the Tower of Trials. At that time, I can force it to release Little Jiao. This is the only way to save Little Jiao," Di Baiming said in a deep voice. Qi Ling's voice was filled with fear. Dean Huangfu was stunned. He did not expect Di Baiming to be able to do this for Yun Chujio. He advised, "Your Excellency, although your spiritual power is considered outstanding in the Tianyuan continent, it is extremely difficult to pass the 9th level. Furthermore, what about the matters of the Temple of Immortals? The trial tower forbids the use of talismans. If there is an urgent matter, there is no way for us to inform you. When I was in the academy, I managed to clear the 6th level. At that time, my spiritual power was much lower than it is now. I believe that I can clear the 9th level this time. There's no need to say more. Give me the jade token." Di Baiming's eyes revealed a determined look. "Little Jiao, wait for me. I will definitely be able to save you." Teacher Mao was just about to pass the jade token to Di Baiming when he saw the 3rd level of the trial tower light up. Teacher Mao exclaimed, "Yun Chujio actually managed to break through to the 3rd level. How is this possible? She is only at the 1st level of the spirit sect." Chapter 1159 might be a fortuitous encounter. Dean Huangfu and the others also looked towards the trial tower. Indeed, the 3rd level of the trial tower lit up. Dean Huangfu could not help but exclaim, "Only those at the 6th level of the Spirit Saint realm can pass through the 2nd level of the trial tower. How did Yun Chujio do it? This is too unbelievable." Di Baiming originally wanted to insist on entering the trial tower, but when he saw this, he suddenly had a thought. Little Nine had the great void mystic realm to eat and drink without any worries. Moreover, the trial tower was not really dead. This might be Little Nine's fortuitous encounter. He should wait for a while before deciding whether to enter the Tower of Trials. "Dean Huangfu, I've changed my mind. I'll cultivate in front of this tower. I'll wait for a while before deciding whether to enter the tower." Dean Huangfu naturally wanted this. If Di Baiming didn't come out for a while after entering, the hall master's wife would have to run over to him and ask for him. Xue Wuji rolled his eyes. "Since Di Baiming is waiting here, then I will wait here too. Anyway, it's the same wherever I cultivate. It's just that those idiots are getting annoyed just by looking at me. Tell them to get lost and don't disturb me." The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched. He did not need to give any orders. They saw the kick that you gave Insulian. If they came, they probably would not dare to come close. When Dean Huangfu thought of this, he removed the isolation array. The people watching from afar saw that His Excellency and young Master Wuji were sitting cross-legged in the empty space in front of the trial tower. They were even more puzzled. What's going on? Why did His Excellency and young Master Wuji come to the trial tower to meditate? Did they have a sudden epiphany? How is that possible? If they had an epiphany, it's impossible for them to have an epiphany together. Could it be that they are waiting for Yun Chujio to come out of the trial tower? Haha, your joke is not funny at all. Let's not talk about Your Excellency and young Master Wuji's identity. Why would they wait for a puny Yun Chujio here? Most importantly, do you think Yun Chujio can still come out? You're right. I really can't figure it out. At this moment, a student exclaimed, "Look! The third level of the trial tower lit up. Could it be that Yun Chujio made it to the third level?" Everyone's attention was on Di Baiming and Shui Wuji just now. Only then did they realize that the third level of the trial tower actually lit up. How was this possible? Wasn't Yun Chujio only at the first level of the spirit sect? She was lucky enough to get to the second level, but how did she manage to get to the third level? Just when everyone was surprised that Yun Chujio managed to get to the third level, the fourth level actually lit up. Everyone immediately exploded. Heavens! This was impossible. There must be a problem with the trial tower. The third level only lit up for an hour at most. How could Yun Chujio clear the third level in such a short time? Teacher Mao jumped up in shock. Impossible! How is this possible? She actually used only an hour to clear the third level of the trial tower. How is this possible? Shui Wuji glared fiercely at Teacher Mao and said in a low voice, "Little Sister Jiu is much more powerful than you think. You are a snob." Teacher Mu was immediately dispirited and did not say a word. Dean Huangfu looked at the trial tower, but his heart was shocked. This Yun Chujio was really unexpected. She actually managed to break through to the fourth level of the spirit sect's fourth level, and it only took her an hour to break through to the third level. How did she do it? Perhaps Yun Chujio could break through to the ninth level. Chapter 1160, the third level of the Tower of Trials. Dean Huangfu was shocked by his own thoughts. He must have gone mad. Although Yun Chujio had broken through to the fourth level, it might just be a fluke. A fourth-level spirit sect cultivator had broken through to the ninth level of the Tower of Trials? That was simply impossible. It was better to place their hopes on the Honorable One. Then why did Yun Chujio only use an hour to pass through the third level of the Tower of Trials? An hour ago, the Trial Tower, third level. When Yun Chujio opened her eyes, she realized that she had been transported to a dense forest. Yun Chujio looked around, but she did not find any traces of demonic beasts. This was strange. Could the demonic beasts be outside the dense forest? Just as Yun Chujio was at a loss, the vines on the ground and on the trees suddenly burst out. The speed was so fast that Yun Chujio did not have time to react. She was immediately bound tightly. Yun Chujio was shocked. Just as she was about to release Lai Yen and burn down the vines, she was horrified to find that her spiritual power was actually restricted. Moreover, she could not use her spiritual sense and spiritual beast bag at all. The vines danced crazily and let out sharp laughter. The vines on Yun Chujio's body became tighter and tighter. Moreover, the thorns on the vines began to pierce into Yun Chujio's exposed hands. Demon plants? There were vines everywhere in this dense forest. It was simply impossible to guard against them. However, why did this scene look a little familiar? Oh right, this was the scene when she was absorbing the spirit of the spirit vines. It was just that the spirit-absorbing vines were not as high level as these demon plants. Damn it. At that time, when she had absorbed all the poison from the vines had become obedient. She did not know if this trick would work on these demon plants. Forget it, let's try again. Since she was thirsty, she would just drink it like water anyway, the poison would not kill her. Yun Chujio thought of this and lowered her head to bite down on a vine. Then she began to suck the juice inside. The Guai Chao in her dantian was overjoyed. This thing was much more advanced than sucking the juice of the spirit vine. The vine let out a contemptuous laugh. This human girl was really stupid. Its juice was extremely poisonous. She was simply courting death. As long as you took a sip, you would be dead. Then 1 sip, 2 sips, 10 sips. The vine found that the little girl was completely fine. However, the venom in her body was constantly leaking out. The branch of the vine that was binding the little girl had already begun to wither. No. How could this be? This was impossible. Why wasn't she poisoned to death? Yunchuju did not care what the vine was thinking. She continued to suck the venom from the vine. Damn it, do you think I'm a sick cat if I don't show my strength? You want to kill me? I'll suck you into a dried vine first. The vine was miserable. After Yunchuju finished sucking the vine that was binding her, she found the thickest trunk and started to suck the poison from it. The vine was not willing to sit still and wait for death. Kept beating Yunchuju with the vine. Yunchuju was determined. No matter how you beat her, I will not let go. I will suck you into a dried vine today. Finally, the main trunk of the vine began to wither. Yunchuju curled her lips and let the three-tailed fox king Lai Yen burn the main trunk of the vine. Even in her dreams, the vine did not expect to die so aggrieved one day. As the main trunk of the vine burned to ashes, a white light flashed in front of Yunchuju's eyes. When she saw the scene in front of her, she regretted sucking the poison of the vine slowly. Chapter 1161. Come and eat me, fuck. She was absolutely certain that this damned trial tower's Qi-Ling wanted to kill her. If she was teleported to this place, she might as well just kill her. At this moment, Yunchuju was pitifully lying in a pit that was about 20 feet deep. There were 3 level 25 bloodthirsty wolves surrounding her, eyeing Yunchuju greedily in the pit. The 3 bloodthirsty wolves let out horrifying howls. Their eyes were full of green light and their saliva dripped down. No matter how Yunchuju thought about it, she felt that she had no way to survive. The bloodthirsty wolves could use wind blades to attack. Apparently, they were afraid that their food would be cut into pieces, so they didn't use wind blades, otherwise Yunchuju would have died long ago. Level 25 bloodthirsty wolves were equivalent to human cultivators from the first to second layer of the Supreme Being realm. The gap between Yunchuju and them was almost like a gully. Not to mention the 3 bloodthirsty wolves, she couldn't even deal with one of them. However, Yunchuju quickly adjusted her state of mind. Damn it, was the Tiandao strong? Was the heavenly lightning strong? Wasn't I still alive and well? The 3 little wolves wanted to take her life? No way. Yunchuju blinked her eyes and started to think of a countermeasure. This pit was not deep. Logically speaking, as long as one bloodthirsty wolf jumped in, it would be easy to eat her. Why did the 3 bloodthirsty wolves only surround the pit and not eat her? Yunchuju's heart moved. It was probably because the 3 bloodthirsty wolves were wary of each other. If one of them jumped down, the other 2 would most likely hit it while it was down and attack it with wind blades. Then it would definitely die. Yunchuju rolled her eyes and then her heart was filled with joy. She had an idea. Yunchuju smiled and waved her claws at the 3 bloodthirsty wolves. Hey 3 wolves, I'm really lucky to be able to meet you. The 3 bloodthirsty wolves were dumbfounded. Was this little girl crazy? Didn't she know that she would be eaten by them? And she even greeted them with a smile? 3 wolves, you must be very strange. Why am I so happy? Because I feel that it is my honor to die in the hands of such noble demon beasts. Come on. Which wolf lord jumped in and ate me? Yunchuju closed her eyes, she smiled and waited for her death. The 3 bloodthirsty wolves looked at each other warily. Although they were drooling over the prey in the pit, they didn't move to prevent becoming the other 2 prey. Yunchuju opened her eyes in confusion. My lords, why aren't you eating me? My skin is tender and my meat is very delicious. I guarantee that I won't bite. Come and eat me. The 3 bloodthirsty wolves could not help but take half a step back. This guy must be sick. Who would take the initiative to ask to be eaten? I know. Do you think it's inconvenient to eat me in the pit? How about this? I'll climb up so that you can easily eat me. The 3 bloodthirsty wolves were delighted. It would be easy if this human girl climbed up. They did not have to be wary of each other. After Yunchuju finished speaking, she made a move to climb up. After climbing a few times, she returned to the bottom of the pit. She covered her mouth. 3 wolves, I suddenly thought of a very big problem. If I climb up now, how are the 3 of you going to share it? You'd better discuss how to share it with me first. For example, who is the biggest can eat more. Chapter 1162. Watching a wolf fight in a pit. When the 3 bloodthirsty wolves heard Yunchuju's words, one of the larger ones began to howl proudly. Although Yunchuju didn't understand what it was howling about, it probably meant that it should eat more. The other 2 bloodthirsty wolves were immediately unhappy and howled angrily. The larger one also didn't want to be outdone and howled again. A crafty look flashed across Yun Chujia's eyes. She said to herself, as the saying goes, more wolves have less meat. If this wolf loses one, wouldn't it have more meat in its mouth? Moreover, there could be another wolf's corpse. It's worth it just to think about it. The two smaller bloodthirsty wolves heard Yun Chujia's words and looked at each other. Suddenly they attacked the larger one from the left and right. Although Yun Chujio could not see, she could hear the sounds of fighting from above. She did not stay idle and quickly brought Xiaohei out so that it could quickly dig a hole. Xiaohei was not good at other things, but it was good at digging holes. Although it was small, it could dig a hole very quickly. An hour later, the two smaller wolves' proud roars came from above the pit. It was obvious that the larger wolf had been killed. The two bloodthirsty wolves had no time to care about Yun Chujio, who was in the pit. They wolfed down the corpse of the bloodthirsty wolf. Although it was a mirage beast derived from the array, in the eyes of these mirage beasts, the demon beast's corpse would not disappear. After the two bloodthirsty wolves finished eating, they burped and came to the side of the pit. Yun Chujio knew that the two bloodthirsty wolves were full now and would not eat her for a while. What she needed to do now was to stall for time and buy time for Xiaohei. Xiaohei was very smart. There was only a small hole outside. Yun Chujio used her body to cover it, but the hole inside was getting wider and wider. The two wolves are really too brave. Since you are not hungry now, I will tell you some things about the outside to relieve your boredom. Yun Chujio sat in the hole and said with a flattering look. The two bloodthirsty wolves had just had a good meal, so they were not in a hurry to eat Yun Chujio. They lay lazily by the pit and looked at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio began to tell the story with a lively voice and a lively voice. The two bloodthirsty wolves had never heard such an interesting story before, so they listened to it with great interest. Yun Chujio was good at lying. Besides drinking a few mouthfuls of water, she did not stop at all. She kept telling the story while thinking to herself, it would be best if these two bloodthirsty wolves started fighting and I could reap the benefits. Lord Wolves, I don't know if you've heard of the saying, one mountain cannot accommodate two wolves. That means that no matter if it's a human or a demon beast, there must be a leader. Both Lord Wolves are so outstanding. Who is stronger? I see that the Lord Wolf in the east has sharper fangs, but the Lord Wolf in the west has sharper claws. It's really hard to tell who is stronger, Yun Chujio said with a conflicted look. The bloodthirsty wolf in the east howled arrogantly, and the bloodthirsty wolf in the west also didn't want to be outdone. The two bloodthirsty wolves howled continuously. The two wolves value harmony. Don't fight. Your strength is equal. It's hard to say who will win or lose. Don't fight. Yun Chujio shouted. The two bloodthirsty wolves were just howling, but when they heard Yun Chujio they immediately started fighting. Chapter 1163 Killing Wolves in the Pit. Yun Chujio listened to the sounds of fighting above and the corners of her mouth curled up. Fight with me. She only needed to use her brain to let them kill each other. It would be better if both of them died in the end. Then she would not have to hide in the hole that Mickey had dug. Another hour passed. The sounds of fighting above became softer and softer. A bloodthirsty wolf that was covered in wounds appeared above the pit. Seeing this, Yun Chujio hurriedly hid in the hole behind. What a joke. As long as this bloodthirsty wolf shot down a wind blade, she would definitely die. Seeing Yun Chujio hiding in the hole, the bloodthirsty wolf howled angrily. Yun Chujio hid at the edge of the hole. She shouted loudly, "You stupid wolf. You're so stupid that you've reached a new height. This is called a plot to sow discord. You three idiots have all fallen into my trap. If you have the ability, come down and eat me. You big idiot." When the bloodthirsty wolf above the deep pit heard Yun Chujio's words, it was so angry that it almost went crazy. It crazily shot out wind blades into the hole, but unfortunately the wind blades attacked in a straight line. Even though the bottom of the pit was cut into a mess, it did not harm Yun Chujio at all. Moreover, Xiaohei had already opened air holes elsewhere, so it was not afraid of being suffocated to death. Idiot, not only are you stupid, you're also a coward. If you have the ability, come down and fight me for 300 rounds. You wouldn't be afraid of a first-level spirit sect human like me, right? Yun Chujio continued to provoke. Now this bloodthirsty wolf had suffered quite a serious injury. Moreover, she had the initiative in this hole, so she had to provoke it down. The bloodthirsty wolf was so angry that it lost its mind. It was so angry that it actually jumped down. The soil at the bottom of the pit had already been cut loose by the wind blades, so it was not afraid of falling down. Before the bloodthirsty wolf landed on the ground, Yun Chujia's purple needle shot towards its eyes. The bloodthirsty wolf could only wave its claws to block the attack of the purple needle. As soon as the bloodthirsty wolf landed on the ground, it threw a few wind blades at the cave where Yun Chujia was hiding. Unexpectedly, the cave that Xiao Hei dug had an arc. Yun Chujia retreated into the cave and avoided the wind blades that attacked in a straight line. When the wolf was attacking Yun Chujia with the wind blades crazily, it did not expect that two more holes appeared on the wall of the cave. Two balls of flames were thrown at it. The two balls of flames, one red and one purple, were sent by Xiao Hei and Lai Yen, the three-tailed fox king. It turned out that Xiao Hei had dug two separate paths, which allowed Xiao Hei and Lai Yen to attack the wolf from a high place. There was a limited area at the bottom of the pit, so the bloodthirsty wolf had nowhere to hide. Its fur was immediately burned by the fireballs, especially Xiao Heiniu's purple fireballs, which were even more destructive. They burned the bloodthirsty wolf until it cried out in pain. It could only use its claws to dig Yun Chujia's cave with all its might, wanting to go in and eat Yun Chujio. The bloodthirsty wolf was in a hurry to avoid the fireballs behind, so just as it dug the hole a little bigger, the bloodthirsty wolf's huge head drilled into the cave. Yun Chujio was waiting inside the hole. Just as the bloodthirsty wolf's big head poked in, several small purple needles shot towards its eyes. The bloodthirsty wolf wanted to retreat, but its big head was already stuck, and it was hit by the small purple needles. Yun Chujio shouted, "Explode!" Immediately, the bloodthirsty wolf's eyes became a bloody mess, and almost at the same time, the body of the bloodthirsty wolf was also burned. The bloodthirsty wolf was in so much pain that it quickly pulled its head back and began to rub the cave wall to extinguish the flames on its body. However, how could a blind and heavily injured demonic beast be a match for Yun Chujio and Dum Meng? After 15 minutes, this miserable bloodthirsty wolf died unwillingly. Chapter 1164 did not want to turn into a bird's skeleton at this moment. The outside of the trial tower was already in an uproar. When Yun Chujio reached the 4th level, many people began to gather outside the trial tower to watch. They had a faint hope that Yun Chujio would continue to advance, although they felt that this idea was ridiculous. However, if Yun Chujio, who was at the 1st level of the spirit sect, could reach the 4th level, what was impossible? Of course, there were also many people who came for Di Baiming and Shui Wuji. Although they did not dare to disturb the two meditating, it was still good to be close to them. As time passed, some people began to twitch their lips. I think Yun Chujio can only make it to the 4th level. The demonic beasts on the 4th level are of the 25th level, which is equivalent to the spiritual power of the 1st or 2nd level of the Supreme Being realm. No matter how lucky Yun Chujio is, it's impossible for her to defeat them. Well, you're right. Yun Chujio is just like that. If we could still cultivate in there, we might be able to make it to the 9th level in our lifetime. Yun Chujio has a heavenly thunder spiritual root, so she can't cultivate in there at all, so she can only live and die on the 4th level. In my opinion, she might as well be on the 1st level. No matter what, the environment on the 1st level isn't that bad. The environment on the 4th level must be pretty bad. She's asking for trouble and she has to suffer even before she dies. Just as everyone was talking, they heard Teacher Mao's voice breaking. 5th level. Yun Chujio has broken through to the 5th level. Everyone looked up and saw that the 5th level of the trial tower had lit up. It was obvious that Yun Chujio had broken through to the 4th level and reached the 5th level. Everyone felt that this was impossible. Not to mention that Yun Chujio was only a 1st-level spirit sect freshman. Even a 1st-level spirit paragon might not be able to pass the 5th level. How on earth did Yun Chujio do it? This was simply too unbelievable. Teacher Mao was so excited that he was trembling slightly. Right now he could not wait for Yun Chujio to pass the 9th level so that Di Baiming and Shui Wuji would not vent their anger on him. Moreover, he had been guarding the trial tower for many years, so he was truly excited from the bottom of his heart. He really hoped that he would be able to see someone pass the 9th level in his lifetime. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji had been meditating all this while. When they heard Teacher Mao's shout, they raised their heads and took a look. Their hearts were filled with joy. Perhaps little Jio would really be able to pass the 9th level. Dean Huangfu was also extremely excited. This Yun Chujio was really a weirdo. Chapter 1165. The Ant Queen. Yun Chujio sighed. Master, I don't want to do that either. But this gold-back devouring gold ant is different from other demonic beasts. I can't use it no matter how much I can trick it. The ant colony got closer and closer to Unchujio and the rest. Its sharp teeth emitted a cold light. It looked very scary. Damn it. If only my fireball could be a little bigger. I can burn these damn ants to death. Lai Yan's three-tailed fox king said while spitting out the fireball. Unchujio's eyes suddenly lit up. She recalled the scene where she burned the phantom hellflower in the ancient spiritual medicine valley. Fuck, I'll give you some oil. I can't burn you to death. Unchujio took out a few pots of vegetable oil from her storage ring and poured it on the ants below. The ants were immediately unlucky. When the vegetable oil met the fireball, the fire immediately spread. The gold-eating gold ants were burned to the ground. When they ran around, they even burned the rest of the gold-eating gold ants. The ants immediately became chaotic. Unchujio stood on the small mound and laughed. You ants still want to fight with me? I'll kill you all in a minute. Although the three Xiaohanio did not know how they got here in a minute, it did not stop them from being happy. Finally, they did not have to turn into white bones. Unfortunately, they were happy too early. After the ant colony calmed down, one of the queen ants with a fat body began to deploy troops. They began to dig a tunnel quickly, preparing to drill into the small mound from the ground. These gold-eating gold ants had very sharp teeth. They dug very quickly and it would not take long for them to dig into the small mound. However, if Unchujio left the small mound, she would immediately be surrounded by the ants. Unchujio's face was once again filled with worry. Master, why don't we rush down? If it really doesn't work, we can use fire to burn a path. Xiaohanio said. No, these gold-eating ants will huddle together when they are cornered. At that time they can completely ignore our fireballs. Moreover, without the geographical advantage, we are no match for the ant colony, Unchujio said disapprovingly. But we are also waiting for death here. After a while, those gold-eating ants will crawl out of the soil. Together with the gold-eating ants below, we will be attacked from both sides. Let me think about it. There must be a way. I don't believe that my IQ is not better than these ants. Unchujio rubbed her temples and her brain kept working. These days she was exhausted and could not get any rest. She felt that her brain was almost frozen. If she wanted to clear the level, she would probably have to kill all these gold-eating ants. However, there were so many ants, how could she kill them all? Unchujio's gaze fell on the queen ant. To catch a thief, one must first catch the king. If she killed the queen ant, these small fries would probably be easier to deal with. How could she kill it? The queen ant had been hiding in the middle of the ant colony, and her spiritual power could not reach it. She had to lure it to the front. Unchujio rolled her eyes and her eyes fell on the fat body of the queen ant. Unchujio took out a bucket of honey from her storage ring, added some flour, and threw 2 small balls in the direction of the queen ant. Perhaps the taste of the honey was too fragrant. The queen ant swayed its fat body to the side of the honey ball and touched the honey ball with its antennae. Then she let a gold-eating ant try it and saw that there was no bad reaction after it ate it. Then she swallowed the honey ball in one bite. Unchujio was happy when she saw this. As long as you are willing to eat it, I won't poison you to death. Unchujio kept throwing the honey balls. Each of the honey balls was not big and the queen was very protective of her food. She did not let other ants eat it, so all the honey balls went into the queen's stomach. Seeing that the gold-eating ants were about to dig up the earth, the queen suddenly fell to the ground and twitched. She kicked her legs and died. A white light flashed in front of Unchujio's eyes. She had actually passed the 5th level. It turned out that as long as the queen ant died, she would pass. Unchujio had also passed the 5th level by accident. Chapter 1166. She encountered a fake trial tower outside the trial tower. It was currently late at night. Most of the people had left and only a few people were still standing outside to watch. Suddenly, Teacher Mao's roar caused everyone to tremble in fear. The 6th level. The 6th level. Unchujio. Teacher Mao was so excited that he shouted until his voice cracked. The sound of the silent night spread across almost half of Tianyuan Academy. Everyone looked up and sure enough, the 6th level of the trial tower lit up. Although everyone was very excited, they seemed to be somewhat numb at this moment. After all, Unchujio, who was on the 1st level of the spirit sect, was already surprised enough to rush to the 5th level. The 6th level, well, it was actually nothing. Some people even felt that the trial tower that Yun Chujio encountered must be a fake trial tower. Otherwise, why would our spiritual power be so much higher than hers and not even be able to pass the first level? Right. The trial tower that she encountered must be a fake trial tower. Must be like that. Yun Chujio was not as relaxed as they were now. She had not been able to rest for the past few days. Regardless of whether it was her physical strength or her brain power, they had already reached their limits. However, the situation before her did not allow her to even have a moment to catch her breath. There was an incomparably scorching sun above Yun Chujio's head, and under her feet was an endless desert. Fortunately, Yun Chujio had the cool beads that the Guai Chao gave her, so she was not roasted into dried meat. However, at this time, the two ghost-faced golden-backed centipedes at level 26 were attacking her crazily, not giving her a chance to speak at all. Level 26 was equivalent to the third or fourth level of the spiritual venerable realm of humans, so Yun Chujio was no match for them. Yun Chujio's only advantage was that she was not afraid of the venom they spat out, so she barely managed to hold on for a short while. However, after the two ghost-faced golden-backed centipedes realized that the venom was not easy to use, they began to stab Yun Chujio with their sharp antennae. The antennae of the ghost-faced golden-backed centipedes were harder than fine iron, emitting a faint blue light. Not only were they sharp but they were also poisonous. Although Yun Chujio was agile, the difference in her spiritual power was too big. One of the ghost-faced golden-backed centipedes antennae accidentally stabbed her left leg, and blood immediately flowed out. Yun Chujio grimaced in pain and thought, "I'm done for. I'm afraid I won't be able to pass this test. Damn it, I'm really unwilling to die in the hands of such an ugly bug. If I had known this would happen, I would have stayed in the vine forest. It would have been better if I had food and drink." However, this fellow was only thinking about this. His hands were not idle, and he even let Xiao Hanyo curse him once. He inserted a few purple needles into the left eye of one of the golden-backed centipedes. "Damn it, even if I die. Don't even think about having a good time." The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede was injured, and it became even more ferocious. One of its tentacles once again pierced Yun Chujio's right leg. Yun Chujio's eyes were bloodshot. She was going all out. This fellow was really ruthless. He did not pull out his right leg. Instead, he used his right leg to restrain the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's tentacles, making it unable to move freely. A few more purple needles pierced into the right eye of the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede before he pulled out his right leg. Yun Chujio raised the rolling pin and was about to smash the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede. At this moment, another ghost-faced golden-backed centipede pounced on her. With a sweep of its tail, it sent Yun Chujio flying. Yun Chujio only felt that her ribs were about to be broken. She spat out a mouthful of blood. Before she fainted, Yun Chujio thought to herself, "Damn it, I still need to have strong spiritual power." She was afraid that she would not be able to pass this test by relying on her words and intelligence. Chapter 1167. Ben Chao was very worried Yun Chujio fell to the ground. Fortunately, she was in the desert, so she would not be hurt if she fell. However, this fellow was seriously injured and had already fainted. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede crawled over fiercely. Its sharp antennae flashed with a cold light and was about to stab Yun Chujio's chest. At this moment, the black bead in Yun Chujio's dantian suddenly trembled. Yun Chujio woke up from the intense pain in her dantian. Seeing the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede coming towards her, she hurriedly rolled on the ground. Only then did she dodge the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's tentacles. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede did not expect Yun Chujio to still be able to move after suffering such a serious injury. It was shocked and stopped for a moment. Yun Chujio took advantage of this gap and summoned the 5 immortal swords that she had not used for a long time. She gritted her teeth and added 3 more immortal swords. A total of 8 immortal swords attacked the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's weak spot. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede was shocked. It had seen that a cultivator could only command 2 immortal swords at most. Moreover, they were small and exquisite double swords. How could this little girl command 8 great swords at the same time? Yun Chujio commanded the 8 immortal swords to entangle the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede. She took out a super-grade blood coagulation pill and swallowed it. With the effect of the Guai Chao and the pill, Yun Chujio's injuries were soon healed. In just a short while, the 8 immortal swords could no longer stop the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede slapped the 8 immortal swords away, and its sharp antennae stabbed towards Unchujio again. Unchujio had no choice but to put away the immortal swords and attack the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede again with the purple needles. However, this ghost-faced golden-backed centipede was much smarter than the other one. It protected its key parts and did not give the purple needles any chance to attack. Unchujia's left leg was once again pierced by the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's tentacles. Unchujia used the same trick again. She endured the intense pain and used her body to delay the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's movement. Several small purple needles shot directly at the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's eyes. Although the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede used its other tentacle to hit away a part of the small purple needles, there were still more than 10 small purple needles that pierced into its eyes. After Unchujio broke away from the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's tentacles, the small purple needles exploded, and the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede roared in pain. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede went berserk. Although its eyes were severely injured, it still pierced its other tentacle into Unchujia's chest. Unchujia's entire body was hung on one of the tentacles of the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede let out a shrill cry and opened its big mouth, wanting to swallow Unchujio into its stomach. Unchujia's eyes were red. "Damn it, do you want to eat me? I will kill you even if I have to risk my life." Unchujio opened her mouth to the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede and released several small purple needles. Following the explosion of the small purple needles, the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede began to roll on the ground. Unchujio was also constantly thrown around. The wound on her chest became bigger and bigger. Unchujio felt that she was really going to die this time. Although it was not true death, the feeling was really unpleasant. Finally, the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede stopped moving. Its body disappeared, and the tentacles that were inserted into Unchujia's body were also gone. However, the wound was still there and Unchujio passed out. Guaichao kept repairing Unchujia's wound. This little girl was really ruthless. She actually used her own body to balance the stinky centipede. In the past, when she said that she wanted to cut open its abdomen to kill it, it thought that she was just trying to scare it. Now it seemed that this girl could really do it. In the future, when it and she could not coexist, she might really destroy both jade and stone. This grass was very worried. Chapter 1168. Guaichao helped Unchujio heal her wounds with a frown. The wounds on Unchujia's body healed quickly. At this moment, the black bead in her dantian started to jump again. Unchujio felt the sharp pain in her dantian and opened her eyes. She looked at the blood stains on her clothes and could not help but smile bitterly. It seemed that she was not dead. If she was resurrected, her clothes would be the same as when she first came in. It seemed that with her physique, it would not be easy for her to die even if she wanted to. Just as Unchujio was complaining, a fishy smell came over. It turned out that another ghost-faced golden-backed centipede with an injured eye had followed the smell and chased after her. Unchujio narrowed her eyes. She had suffered a lot from these 2 smelly centipedes today. It was a good opportunity to vent her anger with this blind eye. As Unchujio thought of this, the corners of her mouth curled into a nasty smile. She took out a bag of things from her storage ring and threw it at the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede sensed the wind and instinctively used its antennae to block it. The bag of things instantly exploded, and almost all the red powder inside fell on the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede's body. The ghost-faced golden-backed centipede immediately rolled on the ground in pain. Its eyes were already badly mutilated from the explosion. Unchujio sprinkled the bag of chili noodles on it, and the sour taste was simply fatal. Unchujio naturally would not let go of such a great opportunity. She released Xiao Hanyo and the others to continuously spit fireballs, and she also kept shooting purple needles. Although the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede was very powerful, it could not see anything due to the injuries in its eyes. In addition, Unchujio had a lot of bad ideas. After an hour, the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede was on the verge of death, just as Xiao Hanyo was about to burn it to death again. Unchujio stopped it. "Xiao Hei, don't kill it first. Take turns to keep an eye on it. If its injuries improve, burn it for me. But don't kill it." I'll take this opportunity to rest for 2 days. These days have been too tiring. Xiao Hanyo and the other two nodded in agreement. Although the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede could spray venom, it only needed to stay out of its attack range. Yun Chujio took out an all-purpose tent from her storage ring. She lay inside and slept soundly. She had not rested for a moment these past few days. She was physically and mentally exhausted. Yun Chujio slept for 2 days and 2 nights. When she woke up, she ate a big meal. Only then did Xiao Hanyo spit out a fireball to burn the ghost-faced golden-backed centipede, which had been struggling for 2 days to death. Outside the trial tower, Teacher Mao had been staring at the changes in the trial tower. When he saw the 7th level light up, he was so excited that he couldn't speak. He could only point at the trial tower with a trembling finger to signal for everyone to take a look. Everyone, including Dean Huangfu, felt that they must have had a very long dream. Yun Chujio had actually reached the 7th level? Heavens, it had been thousands of years since anyone had reached the 7th level. How did Yun Chujio do it? Some people's thoughts were completely different from before. Back then they had thought that Yun Chujio had overestimated herself by sneaking into the trial tower, and that she was sending herself to her death. But now their thoughts were, no wonder Yun Chujio had snuck in. It turned out that she was confident. She was truly bold with her skills. However, most people were still pessimistic. Although Yun Chujio had reached the 7th level, it was definitely more difficult to start from the 7th level. Yun Chujio could probably only stay at the 7th level. Chapter 1169 Good Mother-in-Law of Tianyuan Trial Tower, 7th floor. Yun Chujio was now on an icy plain. The environment here was much worse than the unexpected icy plain. Not only was the temperature lower, but there were also hurricanes that blew occasionally. This hurricane was not a regular hurricane but a wind blade. In such an environment, not to mention whether a person would freeze to death, just the wind blades alone would cut a person into pieces in less than 15 minutes. Fuck. There's really no way to survive. If I had known this would happen, I would have let that stinky centipede live forever. Yun Chujio cursed as she used the rolling pin to block the wind blades. However, this was not a long-term solution. Once her spiritual power was exhausted, she could only be cut into pieces by the wind blades. Moreover, there were no demonic beasts here, so she did not know how to pass through this layer. If she could not think of a way quickly, then she would be executed countless times. If that was the case, it would be too tragic. Yun Chujio's spiritual power was gradually exhausted, and the speed of the rolling pin was slightly slower. It was cut by a wind blade on her left shoulder, and the pain made Yun Chujio grimace. Damn it, if only there was a strong enough wall, then I could hide behind it. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and kept searching in her storage ring with her spiritual sense, hoping to find something that could block the wind blade. She first took out a lot of big rocks, but unfortunately, these big rocks that were originally hard were cut into powder in just a few seconds. However, no matter what, a few dozen seconds was very precious to Yun Chujio now. At least she could catch her breath. She kept throwing out the things that she thought were hard in her storage ring, blocking it for a while. In fact, she still had a lot of spirit tools in her storage ring, both offensive and defensive. However, this guy was prepared to save these good things for last. It was obvious that the weapon spirit of the trial tower was not easy to deal with. She had to save some trump cards. While Yun Chujio was busy making things, she suddenly realized a problem. These wind blades were all parallel. She could make a hole in the ice field. Would she be able to avoid the attack of these wind blades? Yun Chujio immediately became excited when she thought of this. She used the various things in her storage ring as a barrier. Then she brought Xiao Hei out. Mickey Mouse, dig a hole. Quickly dig a hole. I want to see if the wind blade will not blow into the hole. Xiao Hei knew that the situation was urgent, so it immediately used its claws to dig a hole. Although the 10,000-year-old ice field was very hard, it was not difficult for Xiao Hei to dig a hole. Soon a hole about a foot deep was dug. Yun Chujio put Xiao Hei away and began to observe. Sure enough, the wind blade was straight and did not blow into the hole. She could not help but be overjoyed and quickly let Xiao Hei continue to dig the hole. Xiao Hei used all its strength and only used 15 minutes to dig a deep hole that could cover Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not wait to jump into the hole and activate the defensive spirit tool just in case. After waiting for a long time and seeing that the wind blades did not blow in, Xiao Hei was finally relieved. He let Xiao Hei continue to dig the deep hole and spread the snow cashmere blanket that belonged to the palace master's wife inside. The snow cashmere blanket kept her extremely warm. Yun Chujie wrapped herself tightly and sighed in her heart. The old witch was really a good mother-in-law of Tianyuan. This snow cashmere blanket had really helped her a lot. Under the moonlight, the figure of the big monster was exceptionally clear. Yun Chujie then realized that the wind blades did not stop completely. However, when the big monster was sleeping, the wind blades did not become so strong, it could not blow so far away, but there were still wind blades coming out of the big monster's nostrils, forming a defense in front of the big monster. Yun Chujie blinked her eyes. The wind blades came from the nostrils. In other words, there would definitely be no wind blades behind the big monster. It would be great if she could go behind it. However, the big monster's back was against a huge snow mountain. How could it go behind it? Yun Chujie's eyes suddenly lit up. From that night onwards, Xiao Hei began its hard work of digging holes. In order to prevent being discovered by the big monster, Xiao Hei had to dig deep enough. Moreover, it could only dig at night when the big monster fell asleep. Chapter 1171 The Secret of the Monster. After 10 days of hard work, Xiao Hei finally dug the hole into the snow mountain behind the big monster. Not only that, Xiao Hei also dug a lot of air vents and detours on the snow mountain to avoid being suffocated to death. Xiao Hei felt that ever since she followed this black-hearted master, she had not found her treasure, but her digging skills had become more skillful. Yun Chujie gritted her teeth and decided to make her move. At worst, she would just die once. In any case, she could be revived. Although she did not know what this big monster was, no matter what kind of demonic beast it was, its ears, eyes, and rear orifices were the most vulnerable areas. As long as she could get enough small purple needles, she was not afraid that she would not be able to kill it. Thus, on a dark night for a month, Yun Chujie made her move. Because the small purple needles were too small, when they entered the monster's body, the monster didn't notice them at all. Yun Chujie kept waving her hands, and when she felt that there were enough small purple needles, only then did she shout "explode" in her mind, and then quickly retreated back into the tunnel, in case she was killed by the big monster. The big monster was sleeping soundly when it was suddenly woken up by a sharp pain. Its head and buttocks were blasted to the point that blood was dripping. The monster was instantly enraged. It kept roaring and hitting the ground. Countless wind blades shot out from its nostrils. The entire ice field seemed to be trembling. The snow mountain behind the big monster also began to avalanche. Yun Chujie hid in the tunnel. She could not help but feel a little pity when she heard the angry roars outside. It seemed that the big monster's body was very strong. It actually did not do anything. She could only look for another opportunity. Although the snow mountain had an avalanche, Xiao Hei had dug out a lot of air holes, so Yun Chujie was still safe in the tunnel. The big monster had obviously suspected Yun Chujie at the first moment. It shook its huge body and directly stepped on the hole that Yun Chujie was originally hiding in. It collapsed and kept shooting wind blades at that place. It thought that Yun Chujie was dead, so it returned to the side of the snow mountain and rested on it. Yun Chujie didn't dare to do anything else. It was only 2 days later that the monster secretly took action again. The monster had figured it out. The big monster's weakness was probably not its back and ears but its nostrils. Otherwise, how could it shoot wind blades from its nose? There must be something hidden in it. However, the wind blades kept coming out of its nostrils. It had to take the opportunity to put the small purple needle into the monster's nose when it exhaled. That would be risky. That was because the monster's nose was facing forward when it slept, and the small purple needle could not turn, so it had to shoot the small purple needle near the monster's nose and eyes. Yun Chujie pondered for a while and came up with a solution. She made the rolling pin longer, and the Xiao Hei rat pushed itself along the rolling pin until it reached the top of the monster's face. She took the opportunity to shoot the purple needle into the monster's nose. Xiao Hei rat was very strong, so it was not a problem to hold the rolling pin. The key was to climb above the monster. The risk was too great and it might be eaten by the monster. However, there was no good way now, so she could only take the risk and try. In the middle of the night, the rolling pin stretched out from the hole, becoming longer and longer until it reached the top of the monster's head. Yun Chujie took off the hidden spirit ring on her hand, and now there was no spiritual energy fluctuation on her body. Then she quietly climbed forward along the rolling pin. Suddenly the monster opened its mouth. Chapter 1172 was the right bet. Yunchuji was so scared that her heart stopped beating. Fortunately, the monster closed its mouth again. Must have been dreaming. Yunchujio held her breath and continued to climb forward. She first shot a few purple needles into the monster's ears and eyes, then climbed to the top of its nose. After a round of wind blades, Yunchujio quickly bent down. She waved her hands non-stop, and a few purple needles shot into the monster's nostrils. Yunchujio was afraid that the monster would spit out the purple needles when it exhaled again. She did not care about exposing herself and hurriedly ordered the purple needles to explode, and then let Xiao Hei drag it in by itself. The intense pain in the nostrils woke the monster up immediately, and its huge body rolled on the ground in pain. Yunchujio was right this time. The only weakness of this monster was its nostrils. Its demon core was different from other demon beasts. It was actually at the bottom of its nostrils. Yunchuji's purple needles directly exploded the demon core of the monster. The monster's huge body kept rolling on the ground. A large part of the huge snow mountain had been knocked down by it. Finally, it stopped moving on the ground and the entire ice field returned to its calm state. Qi Ling, who was on the 9th level of the Tower of Trials, was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. She originally thought that this little weakling would be trapped in this Tower of Trials forever. However, she had actually coaxed and tricked her way through the 6th level, so it was fine. How could she have defeated the Snow Wind Beast on the 7th level so easily? This Snow Wind Beast was a level 28 demonic beast. In the entire Tianyuan continent, the number of people who could defeat it could be counted with one's fingers. Yunchujio, a trash at the 1st level of the spirit sect, had actually killed it. She used a few small purple needles to kill a level 28 demonic beast. How was this possible? No wonder the heavenly lightning could not kill her. This little girl was really strange. She was just lucky. She happened to attack the Snow Wind Beast's weak point. Otherwise, even if she died 10,000 times, she wouldn't be able to kill the Snow Wind Beast. Darn girl, there are still 2 more floors. I don't believe that you have such good luck. This time you only accidentally found the Snow Wind Beast's weak point. You are destined to die in the trial tower. Darn girl, the heavenly Tao doesn't allow it. Watch how I will deal with you. At this moment, Yunchujio had already been transported to the 8th level of the trial tower. Unlike the dangers of the first 7 levels, this place was actually a vast grassland that shone with spring light. The endless green grass and wild flowers were a beautiful scenery no matter how one looked at it. Despite being in such a critical situation, Yunchuji's mind was still relatively calm. How did these white bone puppets kill their prey? This fellow took out a demon beast corpse from his storage ring and threw it at the white bone puppet. Immediately, several white bone puppets surrounded the demon beast. Then the faint blue light on the bodies of the white bone puppets gathered on the demon beast corpse. In an instant, the demon beast turned into white bones. What was even more terrifying was that the white bones turned into a new white bone puppet. But this was just like a zombie. A person who was bitten would also turn into a zombie. It was too scary. Zombies were afraid of donkey hoofs and glutinous rice. Were these white bone puppets afraid? Although Yunchujio did not have donkey hoofs in her storage ring, she did have glutinous rice. She took out a basin and threw it at the white bone puppets. It was useless. It was over. She did not expect to pass through the 7th floor. This time she would die at the hands of these white bone puppets. Chapter 1174. The Damned Guai Chao. At this moment, Yunchujio was surrounded by thousands of skeletal puppets. She had activated her spiritual energy shield so that she would not be corroded into white bones by the faint blue light. However, her spiritual energy was limited and she could not last for long. What should she do? Should she use those defensive spiritual weapons? However, that was only a temporary solution. When the defensive spiritual weapons were exhausted, she would still have to die. She had to find the weak point of these white bone puppets. However, she had never read any records about them before. They were all made of white bones and did not have any weaknesses like demon beasts. How could she kill them? Originally, these were scattered bones. Something must have gathered these scattered bones back into the shape of a human or a beast. If that thing was destroyed, the white bone puppets would naturally be no threat, but what was this thing? Could it be the faint blue light on the white bone? But where did that faint blue light come from? Yun Chujio felt that she had entered a dead end. Her head hurt from thinking, but she could not think of a solution. At this time, the spiritual energy barrier had been corroded countless layers. At most, in 15 minutes, the spiritual energy barrier would be broken through. Yun Chujio gritted her teeth. It seemed that she could only use the defensive spiritual tool first. No matter what, she had to hold on until dawn. Then she would have an entire day to think of a solution. Just as Yun Chujio was about to use the defensive spiritual tool, she felt a slight pain in her dantian. Yun Chujio looked inside her dantian and found a strange grass swaying in the air. It was guaichao. Although the guaichao could not speak, Yun Chujio could roughly guess what it meant. You mean you want me to open the spiritual energy shield? Do you have a way to deal with these skeletal puppets? Yun Chujio asked in disbelief. The guaichao was swaying in the air. Yun Chujio was so angry that she wanted to die. Damn it, Go Weiba, if you have a way to deal with it, you should have told me earlier. I was so worried that my hair turned white. However, she still had to use the guaichao to do her work. Although Yun Chujio wanted to strangle the guaichao to death. However, she still pretended to be pleasantly surprised and said, "Really? I knew that you are not an ordinary grass. Any immortal grass is not even 1,000th of yours. I just need to remove the spiritual energy shield." The guaichao was dizzy from Yun Chujio's praise. Its leaves were slightly curled up. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart when she saw it and even played a little shyness with it. "You better get rid of these skeleton puppets. Otherwise I will teach you a lesson." Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and removed the spiritual energy barrier. Then she focused all her attention on Guaichao's attack. However, after a long while, until the skeletal puppets pounced on her, the damn Guaichao did not move at all. The faint blue light on the skeletal body began to gather on Yun Chujio's body. Yun Chujio really wanted to chop the dog's tail into pieces and feed it to the pigs. This time she could be considered to have been tricked to death by it. When she comes back to life, I will definitely curse it to death. Qi Ling, who was lying on the 9th level of the Tower of Trials, was jumping and jumping with joy. This smelly girl was finally going to die. In the past, all the people who came to challenge the trial had died hundreds of times. This girl's spiritual power was so low, yet she managed to reach the 8th level by relying on her dog shit luck. This was simply a slap to my face. Haha, in just a few dozen breaths, this smelly girl will turn into a skeleton. Then I will let her be resurrected to a few dozen breaths ago, and then become a skeleton again, letting her continuously enjoy the taste of death. This Qi Ling is really too mischievous. Even if he could not obtain any benefits, he would still be able to die without regrets if he were to see someone break through to the 9th level of the trial tower in his lifetime. Deputy Dean Ean's injuries had long healed. He had been gloating that Yun Chujio was dead for sure, but he never expected that Yun Chujio had actually passed the 9th level of the trial tower. Although he consoled himself that passing the 9th level did not mean anything. After all, he could only come out after passing the 9th level, but his heart was inexplicably uneasy. A strong premonition filled his mind. It was very likely that Yun Chujio managed to get to the 9th level. Deputy Dean Ean gritted his teeth. So what if she managed to get to the 9th level? This Yun Chujio must have gotten lucky. Because her spiritual power was too low, the level she encountered must be different from others. Even if she managed to get to the 9th level, it wouldn't mean anything. Ean Xinlian clenched her fists tightly in the crowd. How was this possible? How could Yun Chujio, that trash, make it to the 9th level? It must be the weapon spirit of the trial tower that was playing tricks on her. Yes, it must be so. She would definitely be trapped on the 9th level. Qi Ling thought to himself. Chapter 1176, Yun Chi Trial Tower, 9th level. When Yun Chujio regained her sight, she realized that the environment she was in this time was even more pleasant. There were exotic flowers and plants everywhere, and there were also many fruit trees. They were filled with ripe spirit fruits that emitted a strange fragrance. This fellow did not stand on ceremony. He picked a few of them and began to chew on them. In any case, he could not poison her to death. Needless to say, the taste of these spirit fruits was really not bad. Yunchujio, this fellow, never knew what it meant to be reserved. She began to stuff them into her storage ring. Perhaps these spirit fruits were not formed by the formation. How about she dig the tree away as well? Thinking of this, Yunchujio took out her pickaxe and began to dig the tree. Qiling, who was hiding somewhere, was about to go crazy from anger. Those spirit fruit trees were real. However, it did not dare to go out, afraid that Yunchujio would catch it. Without the protection of the array formation, Qiling was very weak and was no match for humans and demonic beasts. Yunchujio dug a few spirit fruit trees and kept them in her storage ring. She continued to walk forward. There were pavilions and pavilions here, just like a back garden. However, other than plants, there was no other living thing. Yunchujio cursed in her heart. She did not know what kind of test this damn Qiling had set for her. It was probably not a simple test. Yunchujio took a few more steps forward and suddenly saw a woman walking towards her. Yunchujio stood stiffly on the spot. Yunchujio's eyes welled up with tears. She knew that this was probably an illusion set up by the Qiling, but she still could not help but walk towards the woman. The woman's face was cold and the corners of her eyes and brows were ice cold. When she saw Yunchujio, she raised her eyebrows. "Beggar, you're still alive? Seems like you're living quite well. Indeed, if you're thick-skinned, you can do well anywhere. Dear Chi-Chi, long time no see. Can't you say something nice? Let me tell you, everything here is different from our place. It's extremely fun. For example, this storage ring can store many things," Yunchujio said as she held the woman's arm. "Get lost." Although the woman snorted in disdain, she still did not break free from Yunchujio's arm. Moreover, her eyes became gentler. Yunchujio held the woman's arm and went to a pavilion. After the two of them sat down, Yunchujio was like a child. She began to show the woman the things in the storage ring and all kinds of spiritual attacks. "Chi-Chi, don't think that my purple needles are unremarkable, but look, after I give the order they will explode. Isn't it similar to dynamite? But this thing is much more environmentally friendly than dynamite. If I had this ability in the past, I wouldn't have let you help me block so many dangers. I wouldn't have let you, Yunchujio said until here she couldn't continue. She lay on the table and cried out loud. Yunchi, the cold-looking woman, said indifferently, "You're just a stinking bag. So what if you have more scars on your body?" Yunchujio wiped her tears. "You know that's not what I'm talking about. If you hadn't helped me time and time again, Yunling wouldn't have had a grudge against you. You wouldn't have become as cold as you are now." Yunchi's expression changed slightly at the mention of Yunling, however, she returned to her cold expression in an instant. "Little Jiu, even if I didn't help you, he would have separated from me because a person like him only has ambition in his heart. I'm not suitable for him." Chapter 1177 Brother Wuji is suitable for you. Yunchujio wiped away her tears. "I don't care. In my opinion, it's because you helped me that you had a disagreement with him. Now that you've come to the Tianyuan continent, it'll definitely help you find a good husband. Chi-Chi, what type of handsome man do you like? There are groups of handsome men around me now. There's Brother Wuji, who is devilishly charming, Brother Feng Ming, who is bright and handsome, and Brother Gung Yi, who is straightforward. Alright, there's also Brother Mermaid. I'm telling you, Brother Mermaid is actually a mermaid. His deep blue eyes are like sapphires, and when he laughs, he'll turn into a human. Which one do you like?" Yunchi was still expressionless, but the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. It was obvious that she was in a good mood. Seeing this, Yunchujio tried even harder to introduce her. "Chi-Chi, I think that my brother Black Rooster is the most suitable for you. You have a cold personality. Although my brother Wuji occasionally suffers from some idiotic diseases, he is very good at making girls happy. Moreover, he is the kind of person who spoils his girlfriend. With your cold personality, you should find a middle-aged man who is as passionate as fire. Moreover, Brother Wuji's spiritual power is not bad. He can protect you. You have always been protecting others. In the future, you can enjoy the feeling of being protected by others. Most importantly, Brother Wuji's mother passed away a long time ago. You don't have to deal with the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law issues. Otherwise, with your cold appearance, you'll definitely be made difficult by your mother-in-law. You don't even know that my mother-in-law acts arrogantly all day long. She feels that she's superior to others. However, she can't do anything to me. Every time she comes, she brings me warmth. Ha! Yun Chujio babbled non-stop as if she had a nagging disease. Yun Chi only talked to her occasionally, but it was all very simple. As was it, and so on. Chi-Chi, are you hungry? I have a lot of delicious food here. I'll take it out for you to eat. Yun Chujio filled the entire stone table with the things she thought were delicious in her storage ring, and she warmly invited Yun Chi to eat. Yun Chi picked up her chopsticks and lightly ate a few mouthfuls. Not bad. This place is indeed suitable for a foodie like you. Yun Chujio's eyes reddened once again. And I'm fine here. You have to be fine too. I've always been fine. On the contrary, it's you who looks heartless and soft-hearted. This is a world where the strong are respected. You can't be soft-hearted anymore. Otherwise you'll implicate others. Although Yun Chi's tone was cold, there was a faint worry in her eyes. Yun Chujio nodded hard. I'll remember it. Chi-Chi, don't you like to hear me tell jokes the most? Let me tell you. The giraffe married monkey. A year later, the giraffe filed for divorce. I don't want to live such a life of jumping up and down anymore. Monkey was furious. Divorce it is. Who has ever seen someone climb a tree just to kiss? Ha, isn't that very funny? Yun Chi did not say anything, but her sharp eyes curved into a crescent moon. Seeing this, Yun Chujio began to tell jokes again. Yun Chi's side did not do much, but the weapon spirit hidden somewhere was rolling on the ground with laughter. Damn, although this stinky girl was very annoying, the jokes she told were still very funny. It was enough for it to laugh for a long time. It seemed that this stinky girl had completely fallen into the illusion that she had set up. Then she would just stay in there forever. She was still too young to fight with it. Chapter 1178 was too arrogant in the back garden. There were not only pavilions and pavilions, but also bedrooms and study rooms. Everything was available. Yun Chujio was always with Yun Chi talking about everything. Yun Chi listened quietly. Occasionally she would fight with Yun Chujio and Yun Chi. Most of the time Yun Chujio was beaming with joy. However, sometimes she would secretly wipe her tears behind Yun Chi's back. Although the weapon spirit could set up an illusion, it could not see the specific illusion of the person who entered the realm. It saw that Yun Chujio's eyes were often red, and it could not help but wonder, what kind of illusion did this stupid girl enter? Why did she cry and laugh at the same time? Was she crazy? In this way 10 days passed in a row. On this day Yun Chujio placed a sumptuous meal on the stone table. Chi-Chi, I'll toast you with a cup of tea instead of wine. Yun Chujio poured 2 teacups full and one of them was handed to Yun Chi. Yun Chi didn't say anything and directly drank the tea. Yun Chujio said with a smile, Chi-Chi, you always do things so straightforwardly. Chi-Chi, do you know? Ever since I transmigrated to this world I received family and love and I also had friendship. But the most regretful thing for me was that I would never see you again. You were the only light and warmth in my previous life and you were also my biggest concern. I know you look cold on the surface, not human, but your heart is purer than anyone else. If it was not for you I would have died. So I love money like my life. I just want to save enough money one day so that we can leave the organization. Unexpectedly, I did save enough money. We also escaped from the organization. I was struck by lightning to the transmigration. I know that you will be very, very sad when you know that I'm dead, but you must be well. You must meet that man who understands you. That man must be 10,000 times better than that bastard Yun Ling. Yun Chi stared at Yun Chujio for a long time, and then 2 shallow dimples appeared on her face. Good. Seeing this, Yun Chujio hugged Yun Chi's thigh and wailed. Chi-Chi, although I know that everything is an illusion and fake, I really miss you too much. That's why I'm willing to fall into the illusion and not leave. However, there are many people outside the trial tower who care about me. I can't stay in the illusion forever. Now I have a new goal. I want to cultivate well. There will definitely be a day when I become a god. At that time I can tear open the void and come to see you. If you're willing, I'll bring you to the world I'm in. I will introduce Brother Wu Ji and the others to you. We will be happy together, okay? Following Yun Chujio's words, Yun Chi and everything in front of her turned into nothingness. Yun Chujio did not have the time to care about it. She sat on the ground and wailed loudly. Cough cough. Cough cough. Yun Chujio, you have passed the 9th level of the trial tower. You can leave now. Although Qi Ling said these words unwillingly. However, someone had passed the 9th level. Even if it wanted to cheat, it had no choice. Otherwise it would be punished by the heavens. Get lost. Can't you see that I haven't howled enough? You don't even have the ability to see. Yun Chujio said fiercely and continued to howl. Qiling was jumping. Arrogant. Too arrogant. If it wasn't for the fact that I couldn't beat you, I would definitely teach you a lesson. However, inside this trial tower, there was only the demonic beast formed by the formation. It had no way to teach Yun Chujio a lesson and could only stare blankly. Chapter 1179. An hour later, Yun Chujio finally had enough. She wiped her tears and looked at the Qiling beside her. Then she jumped in fright. Fuck. What are you? You're too ugly. Stupid girl. You're talking nonsense. This Qiling is obviously the most handsome Qiling. Qiling almost fainted. This Qiling was obviously handsome. How could she be ugly? Yun Chujio pouted. It seems that you are not only mentally ill, but also have a problem with your taste. When did San Jiaoyan become the standard of handsomeness? Could it be that you are referring to the standard of handsome men in the frog world? You are obviously a black frog, but you still call yourself a handsome man. You are really shameless. Bitch. You are driving me mad. Do you believe that I will trap you in the 9th floor forever? I will never let you out. Qiling was jumping around looking more like a black frog. Yun Chujio pouted. If you dare to do that, would you wait for me to finish howling? Stop playing tricks in front of me or I'll turn you into a roasted frog. You dare. Qiling was fierce on the outside but weak on the inside. However, when it saw Yun Chujio directly striking at it with a purple lightning bolt, it was immediately terrified. Little fairy, I'm joking. How could I do such a shameless thing? Look, you've been here for a long time, shouldn't you go out? Otherwise, the people outside will be worried about you. Stop fooling around. Where's the reward? I've cleared the level, shouldn't there be a mountain of supreme-grade spirit stones and tens of thousands of immortal artifacts? Qiling was so angry that she almost fainted. Do you think I'm a treasure basin? And a mountain of supreme-grade spirit stones and tens of thousands of immortal artifacts. Why don't you go and rob them? Little fairy, my trial tower is for people to train, how can there be any reward? Have you heard of anyone who cleared the first level and got the reward? Qiling's eyes flashed with a trace of treachery. Yun Chujio sneered twice. Little black frog, do you know what is the most unique characteristic of me, Yun Chujio? Xiaohei frog? Qiling almost spat out a mouthful of blood. This smelly girl's mouth was really too sarcastic. Little fairy, isn't your most unique characteristic a beautiful person with superb spiritual power? Although Qiling wanted to strangle Yun Chujio to death, he still said obsequiously. Humph. Stop flattering me. Although what you said is the truth, my greatest characteristic is that I never leave empty-handed. If you don't give me something good, do you believe that I will tear down your 9th floor? I will turn your back garden into ruins. Yun Chujio said fiercely. It seemed that the remaining supreme-grade spirit stones would be taken away by this little pervert sooner or later. This little pervert was already so perverse on the first level of the spirit sect. If her spiritual power became stronger, wouldn't it be as easy as playing with her? Oh God, I hope you can bless this little pervert to find another trial location as soon as possible. Please don't let her come in again. It was noon outside the trial tower. Everyone spontaneously gathered outside the trial tower to watch. After all, someone had broken through to the 9th level of the trial tower. This was a once-in-lifetime opportunity. Yin Sulian's injuries had basically healed. Although she did not dare to get close to Xue Wuji, she still could not help but run outside the trial tower to watch. She heard everyone's discussion about Yun Chujio, something like a rare genius that appeared once in 1,000 years. She snorted coldly and said, it's just dog shit and luck. There's no way she can break through to the 9th level. Just as Yin Sulian's words fell, a figure was ejected from the trial tower and coincidentally landed on Yin Sulian's body. Chapter 1181 was really too shameless. Yun Chujio originally thought that she was going to be smashed to pieces. She did not expect that it would be so soft down there. Could it be that someone had prepared a cushion? Yun Chujio looked at it and was amused. Tsk, Yin Sulian, you usually don't get along with me. I did not expect you to care about me so much. After knowing that I was sent out, you actually took the initiative to catch me down there. You are really a good classmate of Tianyuan. Yin Sulian was already hit quite badly. When she heard Yun Chujio's words, she choked and fainted. Yun Chujio widened her eyes in surprise. Although you were very excited when you saw that I was safe and sound, you wouldn't be so excited that you fainted, right? I didn't expect you to have true love for me. Everyone couldn't bear to look at her. Shameless. Really too shameless. You were clearly the one who knocked me unconscious, but you actually pretended to be innocent here. You're really shameless. Yun Chujio stood up as if nothing had happened. Then she saw Di Baiming standing in the distance. Although Di Baiming was expressionless, the longing and concern in his eyes were overflowing. Yun Chujio's heart felt warm, however she was still too weak now. If their relationship was made public, even Di Baiming wouldn't be able to protect her. Hence Yun Chujio winked at Di Baiming and jumped in front of Dean Huangfu. "Get him out. I've made you worried." Although Dean Huangfu was very excited, he had a serious expression on his face. "Nonsense. Why did you sneak into the trial tower?" Yun Chujio blinked innocently. "Dean, I didn't sneak into the trial tower. I was forcefully sucked in by the trial tower's qi ling. I'm in big trouble. I died and lived in there. I lived and died. In the end, I spent spirit stones to bribe the qi ling before it let me out. It was purely trying to torture me." When Yun Chujio said this, her voice was not soft, so almost everyone heard what Yun Chujio said and immediately exploded. "What? Yun Chujio didn't sneak in? She was forcefully sucked in by the qi ling? How is that possible? Did she say that to avoid punishment? It shouldn't be. Yun Chujio may be bold, but she's not stupid. Besides, she saw those people taking the jade medallions. I guess what she said is true. After all, she has a heavenly thunder spirit root. Even the Tiandao won't tolerate her. I guess the qi ling of the trial tower wants to trap her inside. Now that you put it that way, it makes sense. But how did she manage to break through to the 9th level? Didn't she say it? That weapon's spirit wanted to torture her. I reckon that he had done enough and extorted money from her before releasing her. Otherwise, do you think that a qi ling of the 1st level of the spirit sect can break through to the 9th level? This is a joke. Although the people present were skeptical, they also felt that Yun Chujio, a qi ling of the 1st level of the spirit sect, wouldn't be able to break through the 9th level of the trial tower on her own. The weapon spirit of the trial tower must have let her off. Dean Huangfu naturally did not probe further, so he said, "You have also suffered a lot in there. Go back and rest first. Come and see me in the study tomorrow morning." Yun Chujio nodded. She bowed slightly to Di Baiming and Xue Wuji before turning around and leaving. Di Baiming and Xue Wuji naturally would not leave as well for the sake of putting on an act. Instead, they continued to meditate in front of the Tower of Trials. In fact, their hearts had already flown to Yun Chujio's place. Yun Chujio returned to her dormitory and took a nice hot bath. After that, she laid on the bed and slept. These days she was simply exhausted. When she was half awake, she felt that there was an additional person on the bed. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched violently again. Then he asked with a smile, "Are you in a hurry to marry me? If you agree, I'll marry you tomorrow." Yun Chujio's 10,000 years of thick skin began to blush slightly. "I'm not. Besides, your mother said that she would only agree to our marriage if I entered the top 100 of the prodigy roll. Who cares? My mother is a sharp tongue but a soft heart. As long as you agree, I will arrange the marriage tomorrow." Di Baiming could see but could not eat. He had long been anxious to marry Yun Chujio. It was fine if he did not attend Tianyuan Academy. At most he could teach little Jio. Yun Chujio shook her head. "No, since I have said it, I have to do it. Otherwise, your mother will laugh at me for the rest of my life. Moreover, I want to become stronger. I don't want to be a burden to you. I want to be your helper." "Oh right, Prince Charming, what realm can you cultivate to before you can travel through time and space?" Could it be that I'm a fake woman but in fact am a real man? The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched violently. "Nonsense. When you go to Tongfeng Inn for your rest, I'll ask the elders in the hall who are proficient in medical skills to take a look at you. Yun Chujio nodded. Indeed, she should take a look. It would be better if she did not have any hidden illness. I still want to give birth to a monkey for the pretty boy. Little Gio, go to sleep. When you fall asleep I will leave. In order to prevent others from suspecting, Shui Wuji and I will cultivate outside the trial tower for a few days before leaving. And Prince Charming, sing me a lullaby. I haven't heard it for a long time. Yun Chujio yawned and said. Di Baiming gritted his teeth and still started singing. Yun Chujio fell asleep in a short while. Di Baiming kissed her forehead before activating the concealment talisman and leaving Yun Chujio's courtyard. Chapter 1184. Pulse reading. The next day, Yun Chujio woke up feeling refreshed. Only when there was a comparison would there be a difference. Initially, she did not think that there was anything good about these ordinary days. However, after a month in the trial tower, she felt that these days were simply too comfortable. Yun Chujio had a simple breakfast and rushed to Dean Huangfu's study. Dean Huangfu was waiting anxiously. He was extremely curious. How did Yun Chujio pass the 9-story trial tower? This was too mysterious. Yun Chujio had thought of an excuse last night. Based on what had happened, she had cut down the parts that could not be said, and after some processing there was a new version. Yun Chujio rambled on about the processed version. Dean Huangfu was stunned when he heard it. How did this work? She used a piece of red cloth to kill a level 22 single-horned bull? She used her mouth to kill 3 level 25 bloodthirsty wolves? However, this little girl was really ruthless. She didn't hesitate to cripple her own legs and killed 2 ghost-faced golden-backed centipedes. However, the level of the demon beast Yun Chujio encountered was indeed lower than the normal ones. It was probably because the weapon spirit of the trial tower thought that her spiritual power was too low and didn't pay much attention to her. How would Dean Huangfu know that Yun Chujio had already gone through the process? Dean Huangfu asked some more details. Yun Chujio was a good liar, so she naturally answered all the questions. Then you should go back to class. Although you have delayed for a month, you have already mastered the materialization of spiritual power, so it's not a big deal. Cultivate well and try to get a good result in the mid-year competition 1 month later. Dean Huangfu said with a smile. After Yun Chujio thanked him, she hopped out of Dean Huangfu's courtyard. Dean Huangfu looked at Yun Chujio's back and scolded with a smile. This little girl must have hidden a lot of things. However, she's really a monster to be able to pass the 9th level of the 4th level of the spirit sect. Di Baiming and Shui Wuji cultivated outside the trial tower for another 5 days before they left. Before they left, they looked as if they had understood something. Only then did everyone understand that the two of them had really come to the trial tower to look for opportunities. Could it be that cultivating outside the trial tower could really achieve twice the result with half the effort? From then on, there were often people meditating outside the trial tower to cultivate. A blind cat met a dead rat, and there really was a person who had broken through. Hence, the rumors became even more miraculous. There were many people meditating outside the trial tower every day. Teacher Mao, who knew the truth, secretly pursed his lips. These bunch of idiots were really stupid. Yun Chujio even specially apologized to Teacher Mao afterward, saying that she had troubled Yun. The resentment in Teacher Mao's heart also vanished into thin air. When Yun Chujio came to the trial tower again, her attitude was so amiable that it was like the spring breeze in March. On this day, when it was the day of rest, Yun Chujio recalled the matter that Di Baiming had mentioned and came to Long Wind and eagerly. And Feng and shopkeeper Chi had not seen Yun Chujio for a long time. And Feng brought Yun Chujio to the secret room where an elder was waiting. Miss Jiu, this is Elder Su from the Temple of Immortals. He is good at medicine. Please let him take her pulse. And Feng said. There were not many men and women in the Tianyuan continent, so Elder Su took Yun Chujio's pulse and became worried. Yun Chujio was shocked in her heart. Could it be that she really had some hidden illness? Chapter 1185. You don't know how to be tactful, Elder Su. Could it be that there is something wrong with my body? Yun Chujio asked a little nervously. Elder Su sighed and rambled on. The conclusion was that Yun Chujio's body was lacking in blood and qi, which was why the sunflower water did not come. Elder Su gave Yun Chujio a long formula for nourishing her body. On it were all spirit herbs that could nourish the blood and qi. He asked Yun Chujio to take a look first and check it again in a month. Yun Chujio returned to the Tianyuan Academy and told Di Biming Elder Zu's conclusion. Then she added, Prince Charming, I don't know why, but I feel that it's not that simple. Di Biming comforted her. Little Jiu, you don't have to worry too much. If it really can't be done, I still have my master. Everything will definitely be fine. Yun Chujio thought for a while and threw this matter aside. Because now there was an even bigger problem in front of her. There was less than a month before the mid-year competition, but the students of the Huang class had been delayed by Teacher Zhou, and their foundation was worse than the previous 3 classes, therefore the mid-year competition was really a difficult hurdle. As the class monitor, she had to do something. Yun Chujio asked the 3rd group to gather all the information about the mid-year competition. After she looked at it, she found that the so-called mid-year competition was not a one-on-one battle on the competition stage. Instead, all the first-year students would be thrown into a place, and then according to the requirements, they would pick spiritual herbs or hunt demon cores. According to the ranking of points, the last 50 students would be eliminated. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and immediately had an idea. During the mid-year grand competition, when everyone entered, they would not be separated. When the time came, she could distribute all the items equally. This way, although everyone's ranking was not high, they would not be eliminated. Yes, that was the plan. After solving this difficult problem, Yun Chujio felt much more relaxed. She remembered that she had not seen the dry old man for many days, so she hopped into the library. Senior, I'm here. Yun Chujio said loudly when she reached the 8th floor of the library. So what if you're here? What are you shouting for? The dry old man appeared out of nowhere and berated her with an unhappy face. Yun Chujio was stunned when she saw the old man. Although the old man was dry in the past, he was full of vigor. Why did he become so dispirited after not seeing him for a month? It was as if the vitality in his body was rapidly draining away. Senior, what's wrong with you? Are you poisoned or is your old illness acting up? Yun Chujio asked with concern. The dried-up old man's face darkened, then he scolded, I'm fine, how could I be poisoned or have an old illness? It's better to study your ancient characters properly. You're so stupid, you haven't managed to study much after such a long time. Come here quickly after class. The dried-up old man said fiercely, thinking to himself, if the little girl still couldn't learn it, it would be too late. I'm afraid I won't be able to last more than a month. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and didn't ask any further questions. She focused on studying the ancient characters. In the evening, after Yun Chujio left the library, she went straight to Dean Huangfu's courtyard. Dean, why does the dried-up old man in the library look like he's going to die? Is he poisoned or suffering from an old illness? Yun Chujio asked directly when she saw Dean Huangfu. The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched. This little girl spoke too rashly. What did she mean by looking like she was about to die? Can't you be more tactful? Chapter 1186 Hong Meng Heaven and Earth Fruit. Dean Huangfu sighed and said, Old Jiang's injury is an old illness, and he has yet to find the missing spirit herb, so I'm afraid he doesn't have much time left. If not for his old illness, old Jiang wouldn't have been holed up in the library all this time. What kind of spirit herb is missing? I can't believe I haven't found it. Yun Chujio asked curiously. With the strength of the Tianyuan Academy, how could they not be able to find it? The primordial chaos heaven and earth fruit. It is said that this kind of spirit fruit can only be found in ancient times. It is a spirit fruit that is even more precious than the Hun Dun fruit. It is almost a legendary existence. All these years we have tried our best and mobilized all our strength to search for it. However, there is still no news. I'm afraid that this primordial chaos heaven and earth fruit has already gone extinct in the Tianyuan continent. Dean Huangfu sighed and said, Primordial chaos fruit? What does that fruit look like? I'll get my Prince Charming to help look for it. Although she had not known the dry old man for long, he was still half her master, so she naturally did not want to let him die just like that. Dean Huangfu took out a picture book from his storage ring, flipped to a page and handed it to Yun Chujio. This is the primordial chaos fruit. It is said that after eating it, not only will one's spiritual power increase greatly, but it can also cure many chronic diseases. Yun Chujio took the picture book from Dean Huangfu and was stunned after reading it. This is the Hong Meng Heaven and Earth fruit? Isn't this the fruit that she ate in the backyard of Xiao Hei's frog? She even put a lot of it in her storage ring, and she even dug up a tree of this kind of fruit. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Dean, are you sure this is really the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit? Are you pointing it out wrong? Dean Huangfu snorted in displeasure. I'm not old yet, how could I be wrong? This is the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit. Elder Jiang's injuries are only short of this spirit herb. I'm afraid it's really extinct. Dean, nothing is absolute. Maybe things will turn around. Maybe you'll find this Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Dean Huangfu glared at her. What time is it? You still haven't come to your senses. I heard from old Jiang that he is teaching you ancient characters. You should study hard. I'm afraid that old Jiang won't be able to hold on for long. Dean, please calm down. What I'm going to say next might scare you. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Dean Huangfu became even angrier. I'm already so old. What is it that makes me lose my cool? Just say what you want to say. Hey Dean. Actually, I have the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit, Yun Chujio said seriously. Chapter 1187. Dean Huangfu was so shocked that he couldn't close his mouth. After a long while he said, this is it. The trial tower is a divine artifact that has existed for tens of thousands of years after all. It's not surprising that there's a primal chaos heaven and earth fruit in it. However, is Xiao Hei the item spirit of the trial tower? That's right. That item spirit elder is really too ugly. He's like a black frog. He extorted a lot of spirit stones from me before he gave me a fruit. That's why I haven't been willing to eat it. Yun Chujio said nonsense in an extremely natural manner. Dean Huangfu wished he could slap this fellow to death. This was an ancient spirit fruit. No matter how many spirit stones he had, it was still a treasure that couldn't be bought. Why would he still feel sorry for his few dollars? Dean Huangfu wasn't in the mood to argue with Yun Chujio at this moment. He handed the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit to Yun Chujio. Let's go. We'll go look for Elder Jiang. If he finds out about this news, he'll definitely be extremely happy. Dean Huangfu felt that this was all predestined. If old man Jiang had not taken a fancy to Yun Chujio and wanted to teach her ancient characters, Yun Chujio would not have found out that old man Jiang's illness had relapsed. Naturally, she would not have told him that she had the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit. Everything was just right. Old man Jiang should not have died. Dean Huangfu and Yun Chujio soon arrived at the 8th floor of the library. The dry old man saw Yun Chujio return and even called Dean Huangfu over. His face darkened. I've already said that I'm fine. Why did you call Dean here? Dean Huangfu was about to speak. Yun Chujio said first, Senior, it's like this. You don't have to hide it anymore. I don't think you'll live much longer. You should tell me about your funeral. No matter what, I'm still your disciple. Shouldn't you leave all your good stuff to me? I called the dean over as a witness. The dry old man was furious. You little brat, I'm not dead yet and you're already thinking about my things. In your dreams. I won't leave my things to you even if I feed you to the dogs. Tiske Senior, why bother? If you leave them to me, I can still burn incense for you on the 15th day of the Lunar New Year. If you feed them to the dogs will pay a visit to your grave. Dean Huangfu really didn't know what Yun Chujio was up to. He thought to himself, is this little girl looking for trouble? Is she sick? The dry old man hadn't been this angry for so many years. He was so angry that he cursed, get lost. Don't let me see you in the future. Otherwise I'll throw you out every time you come in. I'm so angry. You little bastard is even more detestable than Shui Wuji. Senior, do you really want me to get lost? If I really get lost, I won't be able to come back. Don't you regret it? Yun Chujio said with a cheeky smile. The veins on the dry old man's forehead were bulging with anger. Get lost. I won't regret it. The one who regrets is my grandson. The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched violently. Old man Jiang, I'm afraid you'll have to slap your own face later. Have you ever offended this little girl? This fellow is obviously setting a trap. When Yun Chujio heard old man Jiang say this, she sighed. Sir Dean, it seems that my sincerity has been taken as a donkey's liver and lungs. I originally thought that Senior would take me in as a disciple after saying this, but I didn't expect him to actually ask me to scram. I'm really too sad. I'll keep the primal chaos heaven and earth fruit in my hands for myself to eat. It's so sad that I'm worse than a dog. I'll leave you to it. Chapter 1188 The Iron Rooster That Plucks Feathers. The dried old man had been worried about finding the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit all these years, so he was especially sensitive to these words. When he heard Yun Chujio say this, he was first stunned, then he sneered and said, "You little brat, you sure have a lot of tricks up your sleeve. I've eaten more salt than you can walk and you still want to lie to me? Frem. Get as far away as you can." Dean Huangfu lit a candle in his heart for the old man. No matter how arrogant he was now, he was afraid that he would be slapped in the face later. This Yun Chujio really had a stomach full of evil water. She would definitely take revenge for the smallest grievance. Yun Chujio smiled at the old man and then took out the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit from her storage ring. She shook it and said, "Senior, you said it yourself. Then I'll scram. Don't worry, I promise to get as far away as possible." When the old man saw the fruit in Yun Chujio's hand, his eyes immediately widened. Yun Chujio didn't even see how the old man moved, but the fruit in his hand had already fallen into the hands of the old man. The heavens really have eyes. My life shouldn't have ended. With this Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit, I can regain my former might. The old man laughed hysterically. Dean Huangfu suddenly understood why Yun Chujio wanted to anger old man Jiang. This little girl was extremely meticulous, afraid that if old man Jiang suddenly saw the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit, he would be very excited and might even die. That was why she had angered old man Jiang. After old man Jiang had quarreled with Yun Chujio previously and was pleasantly surprised to see the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit, his emotions wouldn't be so sudden and wouldn't cause harm to his body. After the dry old man laughed out loud, his mood calmed down. Then he saw Yun Chujio looking at him with a smile that was not a smile. The dry old man's face immediately turned red. He stammered, "Well, you guys stay here. I am in a hurry." "Senior, even if you are in a hurry, you have to return the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit to me first, right? That is my spirit fruit, not yours," Yun Chujio said with a smile. The dry old man naturally knew that Yun Chujio was taking revenge on him. His old face turned green and red and purple. He gritted his teeth. "My good disciple, Master was just teasing you. In the future, Master will leave all the good things to you. Don't worry, Master doesn't have anything else but spirit stones. In the future, if anyone bullies you, you can use spirit stones to smash them to death." Yun Chujio felt that the time was right. If she took Qiao again, perhaps the old man would become angry from embarrassment. Therefore, she respectfully knelt down to the dry old man. "Master, please accept my bow." "My good disciple, quickly get up." The dry old man's eyes turned red. The reason he taught Yun Chujio the ancient characters was to take her in as a disciple. However, he felt that he didn't have much time left, so he didn't bring it up. He didn't expect that it was because of his momentary kindness that he actually took in such a good disciple, allowing his old illness to recover. "Master, don't use words to deceive me. Give me something practical. Don't you have to give me something good?" Yun Chujio said shamelessly. The dry old man now found Yun Chujio 120 times pleasing to the eye. After hearing it, he didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed out loud and swung his hand to give Yun Chujio an immortal tool. "My good disciple, this jade token is a defensive type immortal tool. It can withstand a fatal blow from a 5th level spiritual venerable. Keep it well. When Master tidies up the things one day, whatever you can use, Master will pass it to you." Yun Chujio immediately beamed with joy. "Master, I'm not picky. If you can't use it, just give it to me." The corner of the dry old man's mouth twitched. So it turned out that I was talking about a greedy disciple, and it was the kind of iron rooster that would pluck feathers from a wild goose. Chapter 1189 Babies were for fun. Dean Huangfu saw that the two of them had completed their apprenticeship, so he said, "Elder Jiang, do you need to hold a ceremony or something like that to accept Yun Chujio as your disciple?" The dry old man thought for a moment. "Not for the time being. Although there has been no news of my enemy, he might not be dead yet. If I find out that the little girl is my disciple, I'm afraid it will be disadvantageous to her. We can discuss this matter again after my cultivation strength recovers." Yun Chujio realized that ever since she saw the Hongmeng heaven and earth fruit, the the old man's aura had changed. He was a strange old man who was eccentric before, but now he had the aura of an almighty. It seemed that this master of hers was an extraordinary person in the past. However, it was also true. Since Dean Huangfu was so respectful to him, his identity must not be simple. Although Yun Chujiu was curious, she didn't ask. If there were some things that she wanted to know, her master would naturally tell her. The dry old man said to Yun Chujiu, "After the pill is refined, I'm afraid I'll have to go into seclusion for 2 to 3 months. You can't slack off, understand?" "Master, don't worry. I'm a good student who studies hard and trains hard. I won't slack off," Yun Chujiu said with a smile. The dry old man looked at Yun Chujiu's smiling face and felt that the days that he had no expectations for suddenly became lively. He felt that it was a blessing from heaven that he could take in such a disciple. Time flew by quickly. Another month passed. On this day, Yun Chujiu came to the Long Wind Inn again. After Elder Su checked her pulse, he sighed again and again. "Have you eaten all the nourishing spirit herbs?" Yun Chujiu nodded. "According to what you said, I've taken all of them according to the dosage." "Why, are you still not getting better?" Elder Su nodded. "There's no progress at all. I'm afraid that this old man's diagnosis is not accurate. Sai, it's better to find someone else to take a look." Yun Chujiu was already mentally prepared for this, so she was not too surprised. After thanking Elder Su, she returned to the Tian Yuan Academy. Yun Chujiu took out the voice transmission talisman and told Di Biming about the matter. Di Biming comforted her. "I told my master about your matter a few days ago. I think there will be a reply soon. Little Jiu, you don't have to worry too much about this. Let alone being able to cure it. Even if you can't, I won't take it to heart. I've decided on you. No matter what you are, I like you." Yun Chujiu's heart warmed. She knew that Di Biming was not good at expressing himself. He was able to speak so bluntly because he was afraid that she would worry too much. "Prince Charming, don't worry. I won't worry too much. There will always be a solution. Even the Tian Dao can't do anything to me. Why would I be afraid of this small illness?" Yun Chujiu kept the voice transmission talisman and could not help but sigh. Other things were fine, but if the sunflower water did not come, she would not be able to conceive in the future, so she would not be able to have a baby to play with. The little black bird rolled its green bean eyes when it heard Yun Chujiu's words. Damn it, this black-hearted master actually did not let go of her own baby? Xiao Hanio thought to herself. Other people used babies to be used for pain, but she was good. It was actually used to play. Poor little master, your future days will definitely be filled with suffering. As the mid-year grand competition approached, the atmosphere in Tian Yuan Academy suddenly became tense. The students began to cultivate even harder, afraid that they would be dissuaded. If they were dissuaded, it would be too embarrassing. Yun Chujiu counted with her fingers. It was time for her to break through again. The spiritual power accumulated in her body was enough. She only needed an opportunity to break through. Moreover, she was confident. The number of levels that she would break through this time was definitely more than 2. This was because a month of training in the trial tower was comparable to half a year of cultivation. It should be called Rookie Lightning instead. That's not right. This is really insulting a rookie. I might as well call it a weak chicken lightning. Wu Yun had never been provoked like this before and was instantly enraged. Several heavenly lightning bolts struck continuously at Yun Chujiu. Damn girl, you are really audacious. You actually dare to challenge it. Today I will definitely turn her into ashes. The heavenly lightning bolts struck continuously again. Yun Chujiu sat in the pit and roasted the spirit potato while provoking Wu Yun. Wu Yun naturally wasn't willing to be outdone and continued to strike. Dean Huangfu, who was sitting at the side, looked up sympathetically. This piece of Wu Yun would most likely be angered to the point of vomiting blood. Meeting such a little pervert was a disaster for it, Yun Sheng. The heavenly lightning continued to strike for more than 6 hours. Other than a few more pits on the ground, nothing changed. Yes, there was even a pile of roasted spiritual potatoes. Wu Yun in the sky already felt that Yun Sheng was hopeless. How could such a little pervert appear in the Tianyuan continent? If it knew what it said, it would not come. After this, Ben Yun's self-confidence suffered a serious blow. Ben Yun really wanted to cry. Chapter 1191 was another trouble caused by Guai Chao. Wu Yun felt that he wouldn't gain anything if he continued to hack down, so he floated away dejectedly. Yun Chujio waved her claws. Little Yun Yun, you are welcome to continue hacking next time. Next time bring a little more thunder spirit energy and hack a little more thoroughly. This time hacking is really not satisfying. When Wu Yun heard Yun Chujio's words, he floated even faster. Pervert. This was a pervert. He would never come again. Dean Huangfu asked Yun Chujio with anticipation. You rose 2 levels this time? Yun Chujio smiled smugly. If I only rose 2 levels, wouldn't I be letting down the suffering I suffered in the trial tower? Then how many levels did you rise? Dean Huangfu ridiculed in his heart. Comparing people was infuriating. If an ordinary person rose 2 levels at once, they would probably be so happy that they would die. Yet this fellow actually didn't pay attention to them. Yun Chujio stretched out 4 fingers and shook them. Only 4 levels. Originally, I thought I would be able to reach the 9th level of the spirit sect. Unfortunately, I've only risen to the 8th level of the spirit sect. Looks like I'll have to enter the trial tower again if I have the chance. Dean Huangfu's face was blank. Only 4 levels? Rose 4 levels in 2 months. In less than half a year, this little girl had risen from the 1st level of the spirit sect to the 8th level of the spirit sect. If someone had said this in the past, he would have thought that he was talking in his sleep. However, this had actually happened to Yun Chujio. It was no wonder that the Tian Dao did not approve of her talent. It was simply too heaven-defying. Dean Huangfu had initially been a little worried about the life and death arena. Now that he looked at it, there was no need to worry at all. Not to mention that Yun Chujio would still level up in the next 2 months, even if she did not level up with her full of evil schemes. She could easily trick Yin Xinlian to death. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and adjusted her spiritual power to the 2nd level of the spirit sect. After all, it wouldn't make sense if she didn't level up for such a long time. The corner of Dean Huangfu's eyes twitched violently. This guy was really evil, hiding 6 layers of spiritual power. Some students would definitely suffer in the upcoming mid-year competition. Dean Huangfu opened the isolation array and it was still the same formula. The spectators were also used to the same argument. Even when they saw that Yun Chujio had advanced to the 2nd level of the spirit sect, there was no reaction. After such a long time, she should have broken through to the next level. Yun Chujio walked out of the courtyard and saw that Deputy Dean Yin had learned his lesson this time. He stood far away and stared at her with a malicious gaze. Yun Chujio smiled at him. Deputy Dean Yin, why are you standing so far away this time? The heavenly lightning is here to strike me, not you. Besides, you haven't done anything wrong. What are you afraid of? When everyone heard Yun Chujio's words, although they didn't say it, they all looked at Deputy Dean Yin. They thought that what Yun Chujio said might be true. If Deputy Dean Yin hadn't done something shameful. Why did the heavenly lightning strike him repeatedly? Deputy Dean Yin's face was livid. He gritted his teeth. Stupid girl, keep showing off. This year's mid-year competition was your death date. Deputy Dean Yin naturally wouldn't lower himself to argue with Yun Chujio. Moreover, this generation's heavenly lightning strike was getting more and more shameful, so he left in anger. Yun Chujio pouted and hopped back to the dormitory. As soon as she arrived at the dormitory, the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring started to vibrate. Yun Chujio used her divine sense to probe inside. Di Baiming's voice came from inside. Little Jiu, Master has sent me a message. Your situation is probably related to the Guai Chao. It absorbed a lot of nutrients from your body previously. Although you were able to make up for it after cultivating, your blood and qi are still being absorbed by it. Therefore, before getting rid of the Guai Chao, I'm afraid you won't come to Kue Shui anymore. Chapter 1192 Smelly Face Without Guai Chao. Di Baiming continued. Little Jiu, you don't have to worry. If Master has the time, he will personally meet you. At that time, he will definitely have a way to help you get rid of the strange grass in your dantian. After Yun Chujio replied to Di Baiming, she cursed at the strange grass in her dantian. Damn it. Damn dog tail. Go away, ba. Where do you think you grew up? You just had to grow in my dantian. In the past, you caused me to become black and thin, but now you're actually delaying me from giving birth to a monkey. Just you wait, I won't let you off. Guai Chao curled up her leaves in guilt. She had no choice. After all, only her dantian could absorb the power of lightning. Moreover, it was not like the broken mirror and the broken pearl that did not need to absorb nutrients. It was forced to do so. Yoon Chujio cursed for a while. She remembered that the 3 malefactors in her dantian had a headache. Each of them was more worrisome than the other. Perhaps the 2 of them would bring her some harm. Damn it, they came uninvited. They were shameless. The great void mirror and the black bead that had been vented their anger glared at Guai Chao. It was all your fault, Guai Chao. It was rare that Guai Chao did not move because it had fallen into deep sorrow. The gigolo's identity was not simple and the stinky girl was no ordinary person. There must be a way to get rid of it in the future. Could it be that it could only turn back into a seed? SOB, sob. Did not want it. It still wanted to cultivate into a human body. However, it did not dare to have the thought of killing Yoon Chujio now. If that was the case, it might not even have the chance to turn back into a seed. The gigolo's seal had not been removed yet. The seal was removed, sob. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Yoon Chujio sighed. Anyway, there was no good way. She would talk about it in the future. It was better to prepare for the mid-year grand competition first. She had used up a lot of resources in the trial tower, so she had to replenish them before the grand competition. Therefore, Yoon Chujio sent a voice transmission talisman to Enfong, telling him to buy and collect some things. After receiving Yoon Chujio's voice transmission talisman, Enfong was dumbfounded. Was Miss Jo going to the grand competition or to settle down in an family? What the hell did she want? 10 sacks of chili flour? 10 sacks of salt? 10 sacks of pepper flour? Several large rocks. This was understandable, but what did he mean by asking for 10 zhang of red cloth? Was he planning to make a wedding dress for himself? Enfong did not understand, but he still followed Yoon Chujio's instructions and started to buy or collect the things she wanted. Then he gave all the things to Yoon Chujio during the break. Enfong could not help but ask, Miss Jo, other things are fine, but why do you need those red cloth? Yoon Chujio said with a smile, to fight a bull. To fight a bull? To fight a bull? Seeing Enfong's confused look, Yoon Chujio told him everything that happened in the trial tower. Enfong was stunned. How could this be possible? A single red cloth could make a level 22 single-horned bull jump off a cliff? A few days later, the day of the mid-year grand competition arrived. Dean Huangfu did as usual the mobilization before the grand competition. It was nothing more than asking everyone to do their best to avoid being eliminated or something like that. He also emphasized that during the grand competition, they were allowed to fight with each other, but their lives must not be harmed, otherwise they would definitely be expelled. After Dean Huangfu finished his speech, he announced that the people in charge of the mid-year grand competition this time were Deputy Dean Xiao and Deputy Dean Jiang. Of course, there was also a group of instructors following them. The faces of the first-year students were a little flushed at this moment. They were both excited and a little perturbed. They were excited that they could test out what they had learned in the past 6 months. They were perturbed that they were afraid that their results would be eliminated at the end. In comparison, the students from the Heaven class were much more confident. They believed that even if they eliminated 100 students, they wouldn't be eliminated, let alone 50. After all, the Yellow class was at the bottom. Chapter 1193 would probably not survive. The 4 teachers in charge were obviously divided into 2 groups. Mo Hanshuan, Ji Bingyu and Qing Yuanda were talking and laughing together, while Ji Sha was standing at the side, expressionless. The Huang class students were also very uncertain. They felt that the person who was eliminated was definitely someone from their own class. Please don't be me. Everyone boarded the spaceship in order and headed to the destination of this year's mid-year competition, Crimson Cloud Valley. On the spaceship, all the first-year freshmen were arranged in a hall. There was no need to divide them. Every student from each class took the initiative to sit together with their classmates. At the beginning, everyone was silent. No one spoke. After a while, everyone started chatting when they saw that there were no instructors watching over them. As they chatted, they inevitably talked about the mid-year competition. Yin Sulian said, "You all don't have to worry. The person eliminated is definitely from the Huang class. I heard that some people in their class haven't learned how to materialize spiritual power yet." Hearing Yin Sulian's words, someone immediately echoed, "Yeah, this cultivation relies on talent." In the end, the people from the yellow class barely managed to squeeze in. Not only will they be eliminated by 50 this time, in my opinion, in the future, there will always be people who will be eliminated in the mid-year competition. By the time they reach the 5th grade, they will all be eliminated. This is because they will only be eliminated in the mid-year competition. If they are eliminated every semester, they will be eliminated by the 3rd grade. It seems that the Academy has really put in a lot of effort to set up the yellow class. This is to ensure that our 3 classes are not eliminated. When the people from the yellow class heard everyone's discussion, their faces turned green with anger. Although they also felt that their strength was the weakest, it was too much of a bully to be mocked in public. Shut the fuck up. If anyone spouts nonsense again, do you believe that I won't let him participate in the mid-year grand competition? Yoon Chujio stood up and said coldly. Although everyone felt indignant when they recalled Yoon Chujio's past deeds, they still shut their mouths embarrassedly. This Yoon Chujio was extremely daring. If she really risked it all and didn't participate in the grand competition, she would beat them up. It was really not worth it. Eun Sulyeon glared fiercely at Yoon Chujio. Slut, you can continue to gloat. This time, 4th grandfather had made meticulous arrangements. Crimson Cloud Valley would be your burial ground. Crimson Cloud Valley was about 5 days away from the Tianyuan Academy. The first 3 days were uneventful. Other than resting, everyone was meditating and cultivating. Even if they were not quick to sharpen their spears, they would still be fine. On the 4th day, Deputy Dean Jiang and Deputy Dean Xiao suggested that they go to the Scarlet Cloud Valley to wait for everyone. Therefore, the two of them took the small flying spirit tool and left. No one paid too much attention to them. On the 5th day, when everyone was meditating and cultivating, they felt the spaceship jolting violently. It was as if the entire spaceship was about to capsize. At this moment, a teacher rushed into the hall and shouted in panic, "We have encountered the attack of the 9-toed golden eagles. All of you hurry up and prepare for battle. Otherwise, none of us will survive." The students immediately exploded. At this moment, the sound of sharp attacks could be heard from outside the spaceship. In some places, the sharp beaks and claws of the 9-toed golden eagles had already reached in. Oh my god! Aren't the 9-toed golden eagles demonic beasts on the 25th floor? That is equivalent to the 1st to 2nd floor of a human spiritual venerable. Moreover, there are hundreds of them in each species. We are doomed this time. Yeah, Deputy Dean Jiang and Deputy Dean Xiao are still better off, but they're not on the spaceship now. I'm afraid we're really going to die. I didn't expect that the mid-year competition would be our death journey. If I had known earlier, I would have rather been eliminated. Chapter 1194. Buying method with spirit stones. The teacher shouted anxiously, "Stop complaining, let's stop these 9-toed golden eagles. If they break through the spaceship, no one will be able to escape. You guys form a group and quickly attack the 9-toed golden eagles' beaks and claws. Don't let them get in." Hearing the teacher's words, everyone hurriedly accepted the challenge and used their spiritual power to attack the 9-toed golden eagles' beaks and claws. However, the 9-toed golden eagle's beaks and claws were extremely hard. The attacks of the students were basically useless. Very quickly, the spaceship was pecked open one by one. The 9-toed golden eagles desperately tried to squeeze in. Everyone became even more panicked. A 9-toed golden eagle pounced towards Eun Sulyeon. Eun Sulyeon was so frightened that she took out a talisman and threw it at a 9-toed golden eagle. After a loud sound, although the 9-toed golden eagle was slightly injured, Eun Sulyeon had blown a big hole in the spaceship. More 9-toed golden eagles rushed in through the hole. Yoon Chujio stood at the side and cursed, "Eun Sulyeon, you little bitch. You are so stupid. If we are eaten by the 9-toed golden eagle, we will not let you go even if we become ghosts." Eun Sulyeon saw everyone's reproachful eyes. She shouted, "If I don't use the talisman, do I have to stand there and wait for death? Yoon Chujio, you don't have to blame me. Don't you always think that you have many evil ideas? Why can't you do anything now?" When those students heard Eun Sulyeon's words, they had long forgotten the words that mocked the Huang class. They pleaded, "Yoon Chujio, Eun Sulyeon is right. You have always been the smartest. Quickly think of a way or else we will all die here." Yoon Chujio could not help but sneer, "What can I do? I am the class monitor of the useless Huang class. It is better for you students with good talent to think of a way. When everyone heard Yun Chujia's words, their faces were filled with embarrassment. Yin Xueqing suddenly shouted, Yun Chujio, as long as you protect me from death, I will give you 100,000. No, I will give you 200,000 high-grade spirit stones. When everyone heard Yin Zicheng's words, they recalled Yun Chujia's past performance. This fellow was greedy. Perhaps it was because we didn't express our feelings that she said there was no other way. She could even pass through the trial tower. What were these 9-toed golden eagles? Hence, they shouted one after another, Yun Chujio will give you 200,000 as well. Think of a way quickly. Yun Chujio curled her lips. These idiots were all fence-sitters, and the students of our Huang class were the cutest, she said with a troubled expression. All right, then I will reluctantly give some advice. This 9-toed golden condor has a strong body, but its eyes are weak. Don't attack its beak and claws, just attack its eyes. Other than that, the students with fire spirit roots will use fire to burn their feathers. This way we can temporarily force them back. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was it that simple? Just a few words were worth 200,000 high-grade spirit stones? However, now was not the time to think about this. They all followed Yun Chujia's instructions and attacked the 9-toed golden eagle's eyes. Although the 9-toed golden eagle's spirit power level was much higher than theirs, its huge body could not enter for the time being, only its neck and claws could reach in, so its attack power was very limited. Therefore, many of the 9-toed golden eagles were forced to retreat. Before everyone could be happy, the 9-toed golden eagles changed their strategy. They actually used their huge wings to pounce on the spaceship, trying to force the spaceship to stop. This way, when everyone came out of the spaceship, they could eat to their heart's content. Chapter 1195. Get as far away as you can. The spaceship was sinking rapidly. It was obvious that it could not withstand the attack of the 9-toed golden eagle. What should we do? It's over. It's really over now. Once the spaceship lands on the ground, we won't have any advantage at all. We're doomed. Yeah, if we knew this would happen, we would have kept attacking their beaks and claws. That way we wouldn't have angered them. Yin Silian heard everyone's discussion and glared at Yun Chujio. Bitch. Did you do it on purpose? You spouted nonsense just to earn money, and now we're all going to die because of you. When some people heard Yin Silian's words, they also blamed Yun Chujio. That's right. It's one thing for you to be greedy, but I didn't expect you to be so vicious. You don't care about anything just to earn money. We were really blind. We thought you were a good person, but we didn't expect you to be an ingrate. Yun Chujio, even if we become ghosts, we won't forgive you. The Huang class and Feng Ming were so angry that they were trembling. These people were simply unreasonable. Shut up. Previously, it was you who insisted that junior sister Little Nine help you think of a solution. Now you're framing junior sister Little Nine. Are you still human? Feng Ming roared angrily. Forget it. She just wants to earn our spirit stones. That's why she spouted nonsense. She is guilty of a great sin. Students, let's throw Yun Chujio out. Maybe the 9-toed golden condor will let us go when it sees the culprit appear. Yin Silian said loudly. Her lackeys immediately echoed her words. Some of them were blinded by death and also started shouting. Although most of them did not move, there were still 180 people rushing towards Yun Chujio. They wanted to throw Yun Chujio out of the spaceship. Feng Ming and the other two in the Huang class people naturally would not sit idly by. They immediately confronted those people. Both sides did not give in to each other and were about to start fighting. Yun Chujio suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone was stunned. Was this Yun Chujio scared to death? I have seen shameless people, but I did not think that there would be such a shameless fool in a place like Tianyuan Academy. Ask yourselves, was I the one who forced you to give me the spirit stones? It's true that I was the one who suggested the method of attack, but don't you have the ability to differentiate between the two? To take a step back, if I didn't have the method I suggested, do you think those 9-toed golden eagles would have already devoured you? I was clearly the one who let you live a little longer, yet you want to repay kindness with enmity and kill me? Since that's the case, then don't blame me for not speaking of the friendship between classmates. Students of the yellow class, follow me and jump down from this gap. I guarantee that you won't die. As for the others, get as far away as you can. In the future, even if you give me as many spirit stones as you can, I won't care whether you live or die. The students of the yellow class were stunned. Jump down? Wasn't jumping down the same as sending themselves to their deaths? Those 9-toed golden eagles were demonic birds. They would devour them before they could land. Seeing their hesitation, Chujio sighed. If you believe me, then follow me and jump down. If you don't, then do as you please. After Chujio said that, she jumped down from the gap. Feng Ming and the other two followed her without hesitation. The Huang class members looked at each other and gritted their teeth. Forget it, the class leader had never cheated them before. This time he believed that he would not cheat them. They were all going to die anyway. Jump. None of the members of the yellow class jumped down with them. Yin Sulian ran to the gap and looked down, then she laughed loudly and said, they were all eaten by the 9-toed golden condor. These idiots, only this spaceship is safe now. Maybe the teachers have already sent a message for help. As long as we continue to persevere, we will definitely be rescued. Chapter 1196. You are really too cold-blooded. Although some people could not bear to see Chujio and the Huang class people being eaten, they did not have the spare time to sympathize with them. They had to think of a way to save themselves. Yin Sulian suddenly had a thought. The cabins next door were the instructors' cabins. Their spiritual power was stronger, so it must be safer there. Therefore, Yin Sulian wanted to go to the cabins next door, but she found that the cabin door in the hall could not be opened no matter what. It was useless to use spiritual power to attack. At the critical moment, the broken cabin door actually failed. It was really detestable. At this time, the flying spirit tool had already been forced to land on the ground by the 9-toed golden eagles. The flying spirit tool was quickly broken by the 9-toed golden eagles. Although these students tried their best to resist, they still could not escape the fate of being eaten by the 9-toed golden eagles. For a moment, miserable cries continued to ring out. Some students were directly frightened to the point of fainting. Class monitor, how did you know that this was an illusion? A student from the Huang class stammered as he looked at the terrified expressions of those students. It's very simple. Do you think that Deputy Dean Xiao and Deputy Dean Jiang would say something about leaving early for no reason? They are the teachers leading the team. How could they abandon us? Moreover, that teacher's acting was too fake. At the very least, he had to arrange how the students would fight and how they would escape. How could they retreat after shouting a few times? Most importantly, when we were fighting, the 4 teachers in charge did not show up. This was very abnormal. Moreover, do you think this spaceship is so fragile? The 9-toed golden eagle can break it with just a few claws? The teacher who set up this illusion is really not very smart. The Huang class members were stunned when they heard that. Compared to their class leader, their brains were like blockheads. Why didn't they think of so much? Class leader, then how did you know that jumping out of the spaceship was an illusion? It's very simple. Isn't the ultimate goal of this illusion to let you die? If that's the case, then just take the initiative to seek death. This way we can end the illusion earlier. Originally, I wanted to earn more spirit stones, but I didn't expect those idiots to actually suspect me. Since that's the case, let them enjoy themselves for a while longer. Chujio said while stroking her chin. The people from the yellow class rejoiced in their hearts. Fortunately, they had jumped out together with their class representative. Otherwise, with their class rep's vengeful character, they might not have been tortured. The people from the Huang class were chatting and laughing. On the other side, Yin Sulian and the others were filled with fear. Cold sweat was dripping down their faces. They were really venting their anger. They deserved it. I told you to slander our class monitor. You should have been scared to death. For hours later, those people finally opened their eyes. Then they looked at the scene in front of them blankly. They were still inside the spaceship. Nothing had changed. However, Chujio and the people from the Huang class looked at them with disdain. What was going on? Weren't they all eaten by the 9-toed golden eagle? How come they didn't die? Finally, someone exclaimed, an illusion. What we experienced before was an illusion. Just like the 3rd round of the entrance exam. Everyone woke up from a dream. So it was an illusion. No wonder they didn't die. Chujio and the others who jumped off the spaceship earlier than them had already left the illusion. Yin Sulian saw Chujio looking at her mockingly. She could not help but become angry from embarrassment. Yun Chujio. You are too heartless. Since you have already left the illusion, why didn't you wake us up? You just watched us being tortured? You are too cold-blooded. Chapter 1197 was worse than having a dog. Yun Chujio was so angry that she was amused. Insulian, do you think that everyone has to follow you around? I'm not your father or your mother. I have no obligation to help you without any regrets after you framed me. Of course, even if you want to be my daughter, I won't accept you. You're too stupid. You might as well have a dog. Insulian was so angry that she raised her hand and was about to slap Yun Chujio's face. Yun Chujio's eyes darkened and everyone heard a few loud slaps. Then they saw that Insulian's face was swollen like a pig's head. Insulian, if it weren't for the rules of the academy, I would have killed you long ago. So don't provoke me in the future. Otherwise, I'll beat you up every time I see you. Yun Chujio said coldly. Insulian was so frightened by Yun Chujio's evil aura that she didn't dare to say a word. She felt that if she said another word, Yun Chujio would really kill her. Even the students were also shocked by Yun Chujio's sudden cold and fierce look. For a moment, the hall was silent. Yun Chujio clapped her hands. Previously, who said that they would pay me 200,000 upper-grade spirit stones? Hurry up and transfer them to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for not being polite. Everyone was afraid that Yun Chujio would really treat them like Insulian, so they obediently transferred the spirit stones to Yun Chujio. Only then did Insulian react and she shouted like a mad person, Yun Chujio, you beat me in public. Just you wait, I'll go ask the dean and teacher to make a decision for me right now. Just you wait, you'll definitely be expelled. Before Insulian could leave, the cabin door of the hall was opened, and Deputy Dean Xiao and the others walked in. Deputy Dean Xiao's face was gloomy as he looked at the crowd with displeasure. Insulian said with tears in her eyes, Deputy Dean Xiao, Yun Chujio beat me in public. You must stand up for me. Deputy Dean Xiao was non-committal and asked Yun Chujio instead, is Insulian talking about the matter? Yun Chujio's expression was even more aggrieved than Insulian's. Deputy Dean Xiao, this Insulian is just spouting nonsense. He was the one who slapped herself. He went crazy in the illusion. She said that she wasn't human and slapped herself. Now she's framing me. How shameless. The corner of Deputy Dean Xiao's eyes twitched. This Yun Chujio really didn't even blink when she lied. If he hadn't seen the scene before, even he would have believed her. Deputy Dean Xiao looked at the crowd and asked, Yun Chujio and Insulian, who said it was true? The students from the Huang class naturally shouted, what the class monitor said is true. Insulian's face was slapped by herself. It's most likely because she has epilepsy. Insulian was so angry that she gritted her teeth and looked at the students from the other three classes. What she didn't expect was that a large number of people also said, it was indeed Insulian who hit herself, not Yun Chujio. Insulian almost fainted from anger. These people were clearly on her side before. Why were they actually speaking up for Yun Chujio now? She did not know that these people felt that they had offended Yun Chujio just now. Now was a good opportunity to make a contribution and atone for their sins. Otherwise, this little pervert Yun Chujio might not take revenge on them. Moreover, everyone knew that Deputy Dean Xiao and Deputy Dean Yin were not on good terms. It was impossible for Deputy Dean Xiao to side with Insulian. Even if it was really Yun Chujio who hit them, there would not be too heavy a punishment. Since that was the case, why did they have to offend the little pervert again? After Deputy Dean Xiao heard it, he said unhappily, Insulian, it seems that you really framed Yun Chujio. How outrageous. I'll let you off this time. If you offend her again, the Academy rules will punish you. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.